Let us begin. Duncan Brewer, we start the scene with you. It has been a few months since you have returned to Trottleara, and certainly returning to Trottleara didn't come without some surprises, because obviously you didn't return on your own. You returned with King Brennan and Queen Manon Hemlock, long thought to be gone from the Kingdom of Trottleara, which seemed to have pretty much put all the events of the past year into motion. That puts obviously Pratt in control of the kingdom, and then eventually led to his regency and becoming king of Trottleara. But you don't really want to, that's a lot to consider. And I mean, you want to get back to business, essentially. I mean, you've been out of the game for quite some time now. And I guess I'll ask, how have things been since your return to Trottleara?
Oh, busy. All the tiredness that came from that night when that cart went off the road. Oh, I don't think I've had a proper sleep since.
Yeah.
Don't think I've had my proper rest just yet.
And certainly a lot of people are starting to feel that in Trottleara as well. Not because they all fell off carts, because that would have been quite, exceptional. But it feels like the kingdom's kind of fallen off the proverbial cart, considering what had happened at Pratt's wedding a few days ago. Obviously there was an evasive force there made up of people that, for the most part, people in Trottleara didn't even know existed. And the fact that not only did they disguise themselves as guards for some god-known reason, well, for the first time in 800 years in Trottleara, blood has been spilt from a noble elf by the name of Ryland Dor. So people aren't feeling, times are tough, and there is a lot of tension in the air, which would be pretty bad business for everyone but a publican, because pretty much for the past couple of nights, pretty much every pub in Trottleara has been packed to the gills, which, through your management of money and, your new roles as the Royal Brewmaster, you're more than aware of. And tonight of all nights, you are actually seeing it from the trenches. The barmaid of a usual haunt in the city is off ill, and you have stepped in to basically put on the apron once again, roll up your sleeves, and do what you were born to do. And let me ask, how is that going?
It's going very, very well for Duncan, as this is pretty much what he wanted to get back to. Part of him is a little bit... He's enjoying it, but there is that nagging thought in the back of his mind, I'm not going to be able to get much of this in. The last couple of months since he's got back, he wanted to get back and he wanted to tell far and wide everything he learned about drinks going across the world. He wanted to be known as the publican who went on this great trek, on this great journey to learn and to bring all these drinks back. But all he's been able to do for the last 2 months is go to meetings, open up new breweries, oversee all that. He wanted to be back feet on the ground. And he also isn't known for what he wanted to be. He wanted to be known as the great wandering publican, but he is now known as the guy who found the king's parents, which it is an honor to him, but, he's had this conversation a lot, and he's getting it from basically every punter. And he greets them with a smile, and he's happy to recount the tale, but it's starting to wear a little bit thin.
I can imagine. And what I will say as well is this, is that obviously, as a publican, as a mixologist, somebody who, you travel the world to see how other people drink and, what methods that they went about creating it. He isn't in the business of getting people fucking tanked top. He wants people to enjoy their drinks, whether that is paired with, other aperitifs or food of the sorts. He is an artist when it comes to his craft. And yeah, because of the current feeling in the air, people may be overdoing it a little bit on the drinking to try and forget their troubles, which is what is happening tonight as we set the scene. Now, I should probably ask before we move on, what is the name of the bar that Duncan is currently managing tonight?
The High Horse.
The High Horse. And I imagine from its name, it is probably quite a... Is it prestigious, or is it just well known?
It's okay. It's a place that used to be a dive, but has sort of gone on an upswing in the last few years. It's called the High Horse because it's near the city gates, so a lot of travellers kind of, hang up their carts here, stable their horses a few streets away, and so you get a good mix of locals who live locally and kind of see to travellers and travellers themselves.
Absolutely.
It's quite a wide open floor plan bar. There is enough room that you can get privacy, but if you sit in the middle of it, there's conversation in all directions. It's currently a small little musical troupe just kind of playing in the corner.
Of course. And what I will say about the fact that you are getting quite a lot of foothold from travellers is that, Duncan, his thing as a publican is that he knows people. But he mostly knows the locals. He knows the people of the city. But obviously, because of the business of how things are going in Trottleara, people aren't sure if they need to bring in some extra muscle and the like over the next few months. There is quite a rowdy crowd that has built up at the back of the bar. And the only reason that you've been made aware of this is, this place is a cacophony of noise. But for the first time in maybe, a few years since being a publican, people are actually coming up to you to complain about this group that have kind of put themselves in the bar. They're rowdy, they're being naughty, they're just ruining... I mean, the atmosphere is already tense, but they're making it even worse, essentially. So, what are you going to do about that, Duncan?
Duncan He's kind of cleaning his hands with, with a little serviette, with a little thing. And he just kind of flips that over his shoulder, pours a few pints of Barony Dark Ale, and he's just, right, I'll go calm him down a bit, see if I can't move him on.
You head over to the table that you've been told about, and basically it's like cracks of lightning every time these guys laugh. They are sailors, in fact. They have the tattoos and sort of the wrinkled fingers of people who work in the ocean. A couple of half-elves, but mostly orcs. And one orc that catches your attention in particular has a golden tusk. And people seem to be referring to him as Gold Tooth. And he seems to be the leader of this party of delinquents, as... You are managing this place from a good friend of yours, and they're doing knife games to the point that they're ruining the table underneath them.
Okay, so as they're doing that, as one of them is about to kind of bring the knife, not bring the knife down, but basically they're kind of readying up to play the game, and Duncan kind of enters, and he's carrying over a tray of drinks, like a big metal plate with tankards of ale on it, and he plants that down on the table to essentially interrupt the games.
The laughter stops then as Goldtooth looks up to you, smiles and goes, "Oh, it's not last orders already, is it?"
No, nothing like that. Just had a few people talking. See you guys are having fun, see you've come off a long journey. Well, many people in this pub have, and they were asking if you could maybe calm down the rowdiness a little. Plus, that there is my table, and would prefer if it weren't so mucked up by the end of the night.
They break into a big cackle of laughter then as you go over and you try and give them the business. Goldtooth picks up the knife that they were using for games and he's playing with it in his hand. And he's like, "We just want to blow off a little bit of steam just like everybody else. Maybe we do it louder than other people, but hey, that's just our way, isn't it? And, Trottleara, isn't it the most accepting city in the kingdom for a reason?"
Oh, but that acceptance has to come with limits, and ruining other people's nights, well, that there ain't acceptable. It's not just you in this pub. Now, just for everybody's sake, just calm it down a little, have a tray of drinks on me, and we can see about just maybe keeping the blood sports out of the bar.
Roll 2d6, and I'll give you a +1 for being a publican, and +1 because you brought over a tray of drinks.
That is service.
That's service, baby.
4 and a 5. All right. So
All right.
10 and 11.
That is an 11 then. I'll go to gives you a bit of a stink eye as you kind of say this, but you are the gov, and as he kind of has a look around and realizes that like he's not the only big guy in there. Yeah, he'd rather go home. He'd rather go home with all his bones intact, so he just takes the drink away and he goes, "All right, big fella." He pockets the knife in his breast pocket and just kind of goes, "We'll try and keep ourselves to ourselves then."
Duncan just kind of nods and says, "You're a reasonable captain, Goldtooth."
He nods and he just kind of like, goes and grabs the drink and just starts necking it then.
Yeah, Duncan returns to the bar, just kind of wipes a bit of sweat off his brow. He hasn't had to tend to a proper rowdy patron in a couple of years, and he's like, "Right, still got some gift of the gab left."
As you are heading over to the bar, you do notice that slumped over in a chair, maybe drank themselves to excess, is a half-elf. What do you do with... I was going to say, what is the usual thing that Duncan does when somebody has drank themselves past the point of consciousness?
Okay, so Duncan kind of returns to his side of the bar and then just kind of like, rustles the guy's shoulder a bit. Sir? Sir, you with us?
No, he's just he's totally out of it.
Duncan whistles for someone else on the, wait staff.
Okay, yeah, a little human lad just kind of points, he just lifts his eyebrows at you, like, yeah, what's up?
We're gonna get this guy somewhere a bit more quiet, out the way, not slumped over on the bar. Getting some water and, check on him every once in a while, make sure he gets up.
Yeah, nah, sure thing, boss. God.
Alright, I'll help you over. Yeah, he kind of returns back around and like, they basically each take an arm and move him to the quietest kind of space available. Make sure he's all together. Get him a glass, get him a small thing of water.
Mm-hmm. The lad looks at you and he just kind of goes, "God, I've been here for the past week, and ever since that fucking thing happened with the wedding, it's just, God, people are just drinking themselves to death. The thing's really that bad, Duncan."
Oh, it's tense times. I'm still catching up on the whole situation. I heard rumblings about Trottleara doing this, that. I couldn't imagine it was this tense now, but... Oh, look at the bar. How many people are coming in? How many people are leaving? This is the last stop before you really hit the road. Or the last stop before you conduct your business here.
He looks over his shoulder, and yeah, this place is just like... Even though it is one of the busiest evenings of the week, but this place is like packed wall to wall, like more than usual. And he goes, I'm happy being, I'm happy slinging drinks, but I don't know. This just feels kind of weird, don't it? Like it's not right.
Not quite. No. If you need a few days to yourself, if you need to make some considerations, you just tell me, and I'll make sure you're accounted for. Make sure you get a few days to yourself.
No, I'm alright, mate. I just need, gold in my pocket. That's the main thing. But, yeah, God, let me tell you, if King Pratt was in here right now, I'd get some bloody answers from him, you know what I mean? I'd give him a right piece of my mind. Bam! Door opens as he says that. The whole crowd seems to go a little bit quiet as they look over, and as if by dramatic irony, who's in the door frame? Why, it's the wide and large frame of somebody that all people in the kingdom recognize, even people beyond the kingdom would recognize, because it is King Pratt Hemlock himself.
Oh, I'm sure. I turn to the young lad. I say, I think he's looking for answers too.
The whole kind of crowd seems to just go very quiet and then just start whispering to themselves as slowly sauntering his way up to the bar is Pratt.
And Duncan moves to meet him at the bar.
Very different energy around him than the last time that you saw him, Duncan. Obviously, I mean, at that time he was in his pajamas and, all cut and looking, fresh as a daisy with his little dragon on his shoulder. And like, oh, jeez, what's that? No, not at the moment. He just looks completely... Well, he looks odd, actually. He looks completely wrecked because he's got just massive bags under his eyes from sleepless nights. He's put on quite a bit of weight since the last time that you've seen him as well. Not just, his usual muscle, but even a bit of chub to him. And between that and the fact that his beard is starting to grow out as well, I think maybe the royalty has actually started to manifest in him a little bit. He's slowly turning into a vision of old Jack that you met when you were caught in that weirdo's house, who, of course, was old King Brennan Hemlock. Pratt just heads over to the bar, sits on a stool. The other people who had moved their way to the bar have decided to basically give him a wide berth, essentially, almost like he's kicking off radiation, he just kind of leans on the bar, just like the weight of the world on his shoulders.
I turn to the young lad. Get the other stuff, get them together, try and get the crowd talking again. Let's not let the mood die. I'll tend to the young king.
The lad just nods and he clicks his finger. He's clicking his fingers over the band like it's a broken jukebox, and they then go back to playing their music. And the crowds are just starting to slowly tune back up as. Pratt's just kind of looking at you, Duncan. He goes, "You got anything for a king who doesn't know what to do with himself?"
It takes Duncan a moment as he reflects on that, and then he flicks his fingers. Just the thing, though. And he reaches beneath the bar and he pulls up a Malbec, a bottle of silk suit. And he grabs a glass and he pours it out. It is a pitch dark red wine. And he pours out a glass of that and he presents it to the king.
The king does grimace a little bit as he takes the glass off you, and he kind of looks at you and he goes, I mean, I had a bit of a bad experience the last time I drank a red wine, but
well, you won't have a bad experience with this one. This has been the drink of noblemen and people who work at court for generations, centuries. You want to start feeling kingly? Start with your court.
He does smile a little bit at that as he does the usual thing. Pratt, he does know certain royal things, and, he picks up the glass, he checks it through the light, he gives it a sniff to kind of test it, and goes, oh, yeah, that is pretty good, ain't it? Yeah.
It's been around for that long. Wouldn't be around for that long if it weren't good. Used to be brewed, as far as I know, used to be cultivated in Trottleara. Now, I don't know quite where it's grown. I think the land where it was, that land used to be Trottleara, now belongs to someone else. We don't know who the owners are, but it survived into the courts just being that good. It's part of our history as much as anything else.
Part of our history, huh? He's just kind of I don't know, he just starts grimacing again as he looks at that. Takes a little sip and, I don't know, he sort of waits to see how he reacts to it.
Yeah. Oh, the point I'm making with that is part of our history is we don't know who currently runs the joint. We don't quite know the full history of this drink, but we don't need all the answers, do we?
No, I guess we don't. I guess not. He just kind of looks at you, Duncan, and goes, it hasn't even been a hell of a day or a hell of a week. It feels like it's been a hell of a year, Duncan. I'm barely able to even know where to even start. He's just he's doing the thing where he's kind of grabbing his eyes a little bit because he kind of feels they're about to well up, and he don't want to cry in front of a guy that he knows, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Duncan puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, "Well, of course it's been a hell of a year. Hell, before I left, you weren't king, you were prince, but you've done a lot. Look. All right, talk to me here. Where do we begin with this? What's on your mind?"
God, where do I start? He takes a sip of the wine, then he goes, "So you know what happened the other day, didn't you? About my wedding and what happened with that, right?"
Duncan nods. "Oh, could have gone better.
Yeah, definitely could have gone better, especially considering the fact that people want to be going to war with a species that I'd rather for the most part not, and then he kind of like stops himself before he realizes he's gonna go hysterical, and he just kind of looks and he goes, let me tell you, Duncan, this whole thing is pretty messy, and I don't want to waste your time. All right, I know you're a busy guy, but a king always has a lot to get off his chest, right?
Oh, I'm here to hear it. Don't worry, I've got all evening. Staff's good. People are behaving themselves now.
Yeah, he also. Where do I even begin? Sylvester Stand. It has been a good few weeks since you travelled to Trottleara with Garcian in tow. Obviously, as we remember from this event, Garcian managed to get himself kidnapped as you produced a hostage situation of your own when you took Prince Pratt's girlfriend Susie hostage. All in a means to basically leverage the Mundu Glade back into the control of the Spider people. As a historian, obviously it meant a lot to your people, and to have it back under basically, so the Spider persons could return to it, is something that a lot of you have been yearning for in the, basically, centuries. That you were removed from Trottleara. But we're not quite there yet, because, in fact, we're actually starting a little bit somewhere in between Spider Person territory and Trottleara, because we're at a grave of somebody quite special to Sylvester. Chariot, could you tell the people at home who this person is?
Well, this person is Ben. Uncle Ben,
Yeah.
all spiders come from the one mother, so
Of course.
every spider's an uncle, but this uncle is special to Sylvester. He was a fatherly figure to Sylvester, sort of like the relationship between Garcian and Sylvester now.
Sure.
At one point, Sylvester was the young, inexperienced historian trying to do his best. Looking up under the care of Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, Uncle Ben died.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, rather unfortunate that, obviously Uncle Ben was the person who told you so much about the Mundu Glade and, how important it was, but rather unfortunately he wouldn't live long enough to see it with his own eyes. So I think that's mostly been a big motivational factor for why you've wanted to obviously see it yourself and get it back into the control of the spiders, correct?
Oh, certainly. Uncle Ben would always say, that we have the responsibility to serve our people.
Of course.
And part of that is preserving what makes the spiders special and unique. And, it was his greatest desire to see the Mundu Glade with his 8 eyes once again. And he hoped he would live long enough to see it. But eventually, well, that didn't happen. But, he instilled in Sylvester, this dream, to once again make the spider people, I don't want to say great again, but
No, don't say. Please don't say
no,
that.
no. The
He wants to essentially. He wants
to bring them out of the shadows.
Yeah,
there we go.
He wants the spiders to be a bigger part of the community of Trottleara, not to be hiding in corners and the dark and dusty places of the continent, but to be a part of the whole, essentially.
Yeah, they don't want to have to hide away from everyone else and cower in these corners.
Of course.
So.
And very much understandable. And you're kind of explaining this to Garcian as you are by Uncle Ben's gravesite. Are there any particular, different ceremonies that spiders have for, burying their dead? Or is it just does it kind of look traditional?
I haven't thought about this.
That's fine.
I imagine a spider funeral is they don't do too much digging, I imagine.
No.
But it's a bit of a shallow grave, but spider bodies are not the most.
They're not the largest.
No, they're not the largest. So they bury them. And, they leave their mark and, say their goodbyes. And then, the gravesite is left.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too fancy.
No. And they don't they don't put them in a big tissue, do they? And fold it and then put it onto the ground.
No, you would need way too big of a tissue for that.
The headstone itself doesn't look like a big upside down glass as well. Is what I'm imagining. So okay, that's good. That's good to know. That is very very tasteful, I think. And what I would say as well is that obviously, as you're explaining this to Garcian, he's sitting on a little rock and he's just kind of nodding along attentively. Unlike last time, he was smart enough to actually pack some food with him. In fact, he has what looks like a big ball of cotton candy, but it's not. It's actually spider webbing filled with flies and stuff that he's just kind of munching on sort of attentively as he's kind of listening to you. And
a very traditional spider breakfast.
Yeah, the traditional spider snack of ball of webbing full of flies. And as he's kind of nodding along and thinking, and he goes, right, and so that's why we need to go speak to Pratt now and, make sure that all is, that we're going to get the Moondew Glade back, right?
Well, yeah, he promised us that, we would have this land, which is rightfully ours, and we need to make sure that he upholds his end of the agreement, diplomatically, sign any papers, so that way, there's no problems between us, because, we can't fight them if they do turn against us, so we need to sort this out for safety reasons.
Of course, absolutely, and obviously you did pencil in a date with him that you would go back and speak to Aunt May and try and get that stuff ironed out, and then you would return at a later date to get things processed, which, as that kind of hits, you pull up your bag, you pay your last respects to Uncle Ben, and you once again head onto the road back to Trottleara. Now, obviously, because you have been invited, you're not going to try and sneak around the outside, you just want to go directly to Castle Hemlock, right?
Yeah, no dilly-dallying. I might not walk through the most occupied places, just because I imagine a spider walking through. Spider people have not typically had the best experiences interacting with normal people, because typically they'll just run into hunters who are like, oh, it's a big spider, it's gonna steal our cattle or something, kill it.
Of course.
So, I'm a bit wary of most people, so I'm gonna keep my distance.
You want to try and avoid the front doors, then, if you, or you want to try and avoid the toll booths if you can, then.
Yes, just be very inconspicuous, or as inconspicuous as possible, entering Castle Hemlock.
That makes sense.
Not like in a suspicious way, but like once we're inside the palace walls, then we can be a bit more normal.
I think that sounds like a good idea. Well, in that case, then roll 2d6, and you haven't really got anything for stealth, is the thing. So this will be a flat 2d6, I think.
That would be a 5 and a 3, 8.
That's an 8. That was a nice mixed success, then. What I will say is this, then. So obviously you are a spider person, and with that comes abilities that people would associate with spiders, including the ability to cling onto walls and, sheer surfaces and stuff like that. So you kind of say to Garcian, right, follow my lead. And what you decide to do is scale the brick walls outside of Trottleara to kind of get into the city, and stick to the streets until you get to Trottleara Castle. And I will say for the most part, you and Garcian are quite successful in that. You manage to get over the walls, land with the lightest of thuds, and make your way through the city. Fortunately for you, this is made a little bit easy because the normal hustle and bustle of Trottleara seem to have quietened down quite a bit. In fact, apart from a couple of patrolling guards, there doesn't really seem to be anybody outside of their house currently.
Excellent. All the less people to avoid.
Absolutely. And you want to make a direct route for Castle Hemlock, right?
Yeah, since there's not many people in the streets, I think we'll just take the fastest path through the road straight to the castle.
Okay. The one thing I will say about the castle is that the walls outside, those are scalable. However, they have guards that patrol around the perimeter of it, and they're quite keen. They have arrows and stuff like that, and then obviously they have a front door as well, which has people on it, and there may be other means to get into Trottleara Castle. However, Garcian is pulling on one of your arms.
Yes, Garcian.
He points up at a poster, rather worried looking.
What's on the poster?
What is on the poster is a message that says, "Wanted. Any evidence of spider persons within Trottleara."
Well, Garcian, this is not a good omen.
Yeah,
one would think Pratt would have all the evidence he needs of us spider folk. I don't know what his game is. Maybe he's trying to convince people that we don't actually exist. And if we don't exist, he does not have to give up his vacation spot.
Garcian tries to pull the poster off the wall to see if he can get a bit more information, and he's just a bit like, I don't understand. I mean, he seemed really nice when he talked to us, but and he's just kind of trying to like make it out. And there are some like rough sketches of what look like other spider persons. Now, obviously, spider people come in all different shapes and sizes. You and Garcian, you kind of look like cotton balls. You're ice white with kind of red eyes and black markings here and there. Unfortunately, these are black and white sketches, so you can't really tell what kind of spiders these look like. But from reading additional information on the poster, it does say that by royal decree of King Pratt Hemlock.
And so this poster was just asking for evidence that spider people existed.
Let me clarify a little bit, because I didn't quite say that right. But basically, if anybody has any information about where spider people may be harboring themselves within Trottleara, they must give this information up to the royal guards.
Ah, that's more concerning. Okay. Yeah. Garcian, I want you to let me do all the talking inside. We cannot let, any secrets of where we live out, because, well, I don't really trust this Pratt character. I don't trust him one bit.
Garcia nods up at his big just cotton ball edge, just nods up and down. He rolls the poster into a tube and he sticks it in his backpack for safekeeping.
You know what they'll do if they find where we live, right, Garcian? They will hunt us down, and they will kill us. Just like every other human we have encountered before.
Garcian looks a bit upset by that, but he does nod very sternly as you explain this to him.
You know, they might put on a nice face, but that's just because, well, sometimes the nicest people are the ones you want to watch out for the most.
Oh my god. You still want to try and get into Trottleara Castle, though, yeah?
I mean...
I
want to figure out what's going on here.
Okay,
but this is a bit of a...
This is a bit of a concerning thing. Well, do you want to try and do you want to do a little bit of investigation before you head in, then? Question would be, how would you do it, though? Because obviously you are inside Trottleara now, and you did find a wanted poster. But this must be linked to something, but you can't immediately tell what.
Well, and this wanted poster is, of royal decree, right?
Yeah, this Pratt asked... this is, royal decree. Pratt has asked himself, where the spiders at? We need to know what the spiders up to.
Yeah, so...
I mean, if anyone's going to know more...
Yeah, I don't know what he wants with this information. Maybe he wants to deliver us a nice package of flowers as a thank you gift, but I somewhat doubt that is the reason why he would want to know.
You don't think that's the case, do you, Chariot? You think that's a bit of a stretch. Yeah.
Maybe this is maybe I'm being paranoid, but I don't think Pratt has the best intentions here. Or at least someone close to Pratt is pushing him into not having the best of intentions.
Perhaps.
I could investigate, I don't really know that much about Trottleara, so I don't know where I'd really want to look. I don't even know, what allies I would have in the city.
Exactly.
For all I know, I can't trust anybody.
No. And the only person where you know their address, because it's very obvious, is King Pratt himself. So. Right.
So I'm thinking I'm probably just going to go talk to Pratt directly.
Okay.
I've talked with him once before. I don't know if I'm going to find any useful information, unless I find another poster, but I doubt, there's that many varieties of this. Maybe if there's a newspaper? Wait, actually, is there a newspaper stand that I can see anywhere in, the street around me? I sort of want to know what's going on.
Absolutely. Roll 2d6 and I'll give you a +1 for awareness.
Oof, that would be 6 + 1, 7.
That'll be a 7 then. I will give you this choice then. There is a newspaper stand that you can get access to the Trottleara Tribune. However, there are currently people who are manning it. So your choice is you can either try and get in there quick and grab it, although you would reveal yourself, or leave it be.
I think I'm gonna risk grabbing one of these papers, and maybe this is an advantage where I can ask about some of the local happenings. But if possible, I'm gonna approach the stand and ask whoever's running it. Can I have a paper, please?
Are you gonna do anything to disguise yourself?
So I imagine walking into the city beforehand, I might have gotten a really big coat that I could sort of tuck my arms into. So I might look like, a hairy, insectoid creature, but it might not necessarily be obvious, because I'm sort of tucking my arms in. It's a bit uncomfortable.
Sure.
Like this. But, I might just look like a bit of a bulky weird creature. Yeah, big, bulky, hairy guy. So I'm gonna try
2D
walking up.
I'm gonna give you a 2d6, but I'm gonna give you I'm gonna flat. I was gonna give you a -1, but I'll say that the coat evens it out. So a flat 2d6 on this.
Okay. That's a 6.
Do you just like look at Garcia and go, right, you stay here. Watch out how a pro does it. Okay. Garcian holds back then as you head over to grab a paper. And what do you say to him?
Hey, got any newspapers?
It's one of them! It's one of them spider people! Grab him! Oh yeah, so the two people who are working on the paper stand immediately go into grabbing stance as they can tell through your disguise what you are.
Okay. Well, I guess in that case, I'm gonna throw off my coat so it's not inhibiting my arms. And, I don't want to necessarily commit violence on this guy, because, if I commit violence on a Trottleara citizen, I imagine that'll stir up a lot more problems than it will actually solve. I'm gonna try. Just try making a dash for the newspaper stand, grabbing a newspaper, and then crawling up on a roof and trying to run away. Meanwhile, and then as I'm doing this, I'm gonna say Garcian, get to the roofs, and we can meet up there.
Okay.
So that's my plan.
That's your plan. Let's do this as 2 moves then. So first things first, you need to get out of this situation, so roll 2d6.
That's a 6.
Now you need to get Garcian out of this situation. Roll 2d6 plus 1.
Oh, that's a 12.
Well, Garcian. Oh, Garcian, you went well. That's Voxcast. Oh boy, wow. Yeah, Garcian's just doing a nice, relaxed walk over to the roof. I will say this then, so you shout out to Garcian to get out of there. Fortunately, no attention is on him. Unfortunately for you, though, no, all attention is on you. These are 2 pretty big human guys, and one of them kind of grabs as many arms as possible of yours, while the other one just... God. Yeah,
no.
one of them restrains you, while the other one just delivers the biggest haymaker they can to the side of your head. Roll 2d6.
A 3. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna say this much then. You only take 1 harm from this, but you are out like a light, as you are basically discombobulated from this.
Oh man.
The last thing that you see before everything goes black is on a rooftop looking at you and trying to give a thumbs up of saying that I'm out of here is Garcian.
Well, I guess I can pass out at least a little okay.
It could be way worse. But oof, this is not good. This isn't good. Sylvester, you have come to. You're basically, your bells are ringing. The world is spinning and everything is a little bit blurry. You do not feel very well from that sucker punch that you took to the side of the head. And as you go to move your arms and legs, they have been bound quite tightly. You find yourself in what you believe may be a part of Trottleara Castle, because the floor beneath you is marble. The walls to the side are made of stone, and there's just kind of a general sort of echoey and airiness around you. But the only thing is that you've never been in Castle Hemlock, and considering the situation, you're not really sure where you are.
Right. Am I so? Is there like any light coming in, or am I like, just chained up in a room underground somewhere?
You're chained up in a room somewhere. Your dark vision, you have enough dark vision that you can sort of make out edges of the room, but for the most part, there's like a rather heavy duty door in front of you. You kind of sniff the air. It smells almost a little bit like maybe a bakery or something. So perhaps you're in that part of Trottleara Castle.
Okay. Is there a guard in the room?
Not immediately.
What am I bound by? Is it chains or ropes? Or what is this?
Quite thick ropes.
Now, I had a meeting to meet with Pratt, right? So
you did have a...
so
that is correct.
My suspicions from earlier are worsening, because if this was just going to be a friendly meeting, I don't know why they would imprison me.
Sure.
So...
I'll give you this option then. Do you want to try and break out of this situation, or do you want to, hang tight, just in case anybody comes in?
I think I might try hanging tight and just, being like, hey, I'm here to talk to Pratt like we were supposed to. Let me talk to Pratt, please. Why am I being treated like a prisoner?
Works me. So eventually, I guess you kind of realize that you're in this situation and maybe you're kind of mumbling to yourself, and then that eventually does catch the attention of people who may be posited on the door. It does finally open, letting in quite a lot of harsh, bright light from outside. Heading in are two guards. One of them a human and one of them a warg, a dog person. And flanked in between them is a rather tall elf dressed in red, with a white shirt and a blue tie. As all three of them are kind of looking in your direction.
And who are you all supposed to be? I'm here to talk to Pratt.
Oh, I'm sure you're here to talk to Pratt, alright, Spider-Man, as this guy heads over. My name is Ricky Business. I'm one of Pratt's advisors. And let me tell you, we've wanted to get an audience with one of you lot for, quite a few days now.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. So what? What are you gonna do?
Well, what we're going to do is ask you some questions, and, you're going to give us some answers. How does that sound?
I'm afraid the answers which you desire will remain firmly tucked within my lips. You won't get the information you want from me. Not if you have to rip me limb from limb.
This guy is just kind of looking at you and grinning. He's like, oh, somebody's got a little bit of hot sauce in them, haven't they? Alright. I'm usually these things require a little bit of negotiation now, don't they? So, alright, what's your price, Spider-Man? What can we pay to get you talking?
Well, first I need to know what information you want.
Alright. And what else?
Well, that's what I need to know.
Oh, that's just what you need.
Information you want. Well, like that's what I need to know what you want so I know my price.
Well,
much as a salesman needs to know, or much as a customer needs to know what the salesman is selling, so they know how much money they need to spend. Weird analogy.
This guy's just kind of looking at you with a bit of a hung jaw, are you for real?
Sylvester does not trust this guy at all.
I can't imagine he does. He's a big fancy
No.
elf. Well, this guy just kind of like pinches the bridge of his nose, then looks back at the guards, and then looks at you, and he says, well, let's just say that we're trying to get to the bottom of a case that your people are involved in. So, let me ask you this. What interest did you have in turning the wedding of King Pratt into a terrorist attack?
I swear to you, I know nothing about turning a wedding into a terrorist attack. I have just been in the woods planning out and scouting my little community. I have had no relation or contact with any... Well, I don't know how much contact I've had with the rest of the spider community in this time.
I assume that you went back and you told Aunt May what you had found out about the Moonlit Glade, and that had gone into... and the wheels had turned on that, and obviously you talked to, your brothers, your hundreds of brothers and sisters about it as well. But, that's about as much communication, really. That you did.
I'm assuming I don't know anything about what this guy is talking about.
Chariot, has Sylvester planned a terrorist attack recently on a royal wedding?
Sylvester has kidnapped, presumably the future queen, but he has not planned a terroristic attack personally. Though he would not put it past him. He knows that there might be some other spiders, maybe a bit more extreme and less pragmatic than himself.
That is fair. That is right.
Who might plan such a thing? Because Sylvester does despise a lot of these humanoids, because they've only brought him and his people a lot of pain and a lot of trouble.
That is very true.
He does know, if you just go out and assault them, they tend to not give you the things you want.
No, that's true. Interrogation never really works that way, so that's a very good point. In that case, roll 2d6 and I'll give you a +1 for persuasion then.
Okay. That would be an 8.
As an 8, okay.
Plus 1 for persuasion?
Yes.
Okay.
Ricky's just kind of looking at you and just kind of tutting and shaking his head, and he goes, so you're telling me that a spider person turns up in Trottleara, jumps over the wall, tries to keep out of people's sights, and then gets in a fight with 2 newspaper vendors, but has no idea about what happened a few days ago?
Well, listen, I went over the walls of the Trottlearan city, but I had business with the king. I had merely approached those 2 vendors to buy a newspaper. They were the ones who attacked me. It was a crime against me for being a spider. I was not the aggressor there. So no, I have no association with any terroristic plot that might be happening.
He looks back at the guards and then looks over and he says, you have business with Pratt, do you?
Yes. About the Moondew Glade.
The guard, the elf clicks his fingers, points to the guards and goes, alright. How about we go and get Pratt to, we'll see if Pratt shares your side of the story then. As you feel your chair lift up from the ground as this pretty large war guard basically drags you by the chair up into the castle proper. Now, obviously, you are tied to a chair, but oh boy, what a wonderful castle it is. It's got marble floors and nice tall walls and stuff like that. And oh boy, you're being dragged backwards into the throne room, and you have a look to the side, and oh no, it's all the villains of history on the wall. There's Pratt Hemlock, the guy who drove the spiders out of the forest 1,000 years ago, and then all the hemlocks going down all across the years, until eventually we get to Brennan Hemlock, father of Pratt Hemlock, and then Pratt Hemlock himself, as you then stop on the marble. The chair is then rotated around, pointing at the king's throne. Writing through paperwork and looking Well, the last time you saw Pratt, obviously, it was during the summer, and, hair glistening, looking, well-to-do as a king would be. Not at the moment, though. He looks completely wrecked. He's put on weight, he's grown a beard, and let's just say the moment that his eyes make contact with you, it is a rather weird shift of emotions. There's a little bit of shock, realizing that you're the person that the guards have brought in, then a little bit of kind of like regret, then a tiny bit of disgust, and then like just a very stern poker face as he is looking at you.
So, Pratt, how much do you know about friendship? 'Cause over this summer, I saw you, and you said you would not be like your fathers, and your fathers' fathers, and their fathers. You said you would be a better man, one who would, help the spider people instead of, like everyone else, pounding us back into the earth. And, well, I don't know about you, but last time I checked, locking people up and allowing random assaults on spiders in your kingdom is not being a very good friend. Now, is it, Pratt? Can you really say your hands are clean, or are you going to be like all of your forefathers?
He's just kind of looking a little bit like drawn back. His advisors are just kind of looking at him, just sort of pulling a bit of a kind of a cringy face, like, kind of watch your words here, because, yeah. And, like, the guards are kind of looking at him like, you want us to, punch his sass mouth, but, like, he puts his hand up, but he kind of shakes his head back and forth, and he goes, Sylvester, I'm very sorry that the guards outside may have roughed you up, and that you may have got into a bit of a fight with some people in Trottleara, but, I'm afraid things aren't as black and white as perhaps you're seeing them at the moment. In fact, things may be a little bit more complex than just the Moondew Glade, alright?
More complex how?
He gets out of the chair to kind of like walk over to you and just sort of like kneels down a little bit to be on your level, and he goes, can I ask you, Sylvester, and try and be completely honest with me, alright? Do you have any inclination, any knowledge whatsoever? You don't even have to be involved in it, alright? The spider people, there's a lot of them. I'm not that dumb, okay? But do you have any feeling that perhaps the information that you were given regarding the Moondew Glade may have fallen in the hands of some spider people who may have sights on the throne of Trottleara?
The information about the Moondew Glade is that it is ours, and that knowledge is shared among the spider people. As you promised, we would own the Moondew Glade, and, some surrounding areas so we can manage it properly. But, you promised that to us, and so some spiders might have known about that. They certainly would have. You know what you own. Surely it's fair that us spiders know what is ours.
He kind of, like, looks away for a little bit. He just kind of, like, rubs against his large nose and just kind of rubs his forehead a little bit as he's just trying to kind of keep up professionalism as he looks back at you, and he goes, Sylvester, do you have any idea about the events that took place here a few days ago?
I know nothing. I was going to get a newspaper when I was assaulted, so unfortunately it's very hard to read when you're unconscious.
He looks over to one of his advisors and kind of like, can you produce some paperwork? And they very quickly do. Pratt just sort of takes a deep breath and just kind of unfolds a manila file and just starts to kind of move some paperwork around to hold it in front of your face. Sylvester. What does it say on the paper? What does it say on the paperwork, Sylvester? Well, during the wedding of King Pratt Hemlock and his wife-to-be Susie Toblerone, the guards at the event were all attacked, poisoned, and stripped of their armor by a sect of spider people, who then took their identities to essentially pose as security at the event. The reason that they did this has yet to be quantified by the Trottleara Kingdom. They are in the midst of trying to, of the people there that they can still get an answer from, they are attempting to get the information out of them. But obviously, spider people, being as they are a little bit, well, they don't want to really give up their information. This is bad enough on its own, but this is why things are a lot more tense than perhaps you realise. For the first time in about 800 years, blood has been drawn in the Kingdom of Trottleara, and it was the spider person who had murdered a elf by the name of Ryland Dor, a son of a noble house, in fact. Yeah. Not good.
No, it certainly makes, it certainly makes Sylvester's position a lot more complicated, and sort of undoes like a lot of what he was.
It does
accomplish.
A lot of goodwill that maybe he might have been working towards has been pissed up the wall. Which, as Pratt kind of like slowly closes the manila file and looks back at you again, he says, "Obviously, I think maybe you realize now, perhaps why those." A paperman might have attacked you. Obviously, if I was there if I was there and obviously explained the situation, then perhaps maybe we could have just gone to the talking part. But I think you would understand now, Sylvester, perhaps why the Moondew Glade is still going to currently be held within the Kingdom of Trottleara, right?
You mean you're going back on your deal?
He kind of looks at you and he goes, I think considering the circumstances, going forward with it at this time would not be the right call for the people of Trottleara.
At this time? What are you gonna wait a year? 2 years? 5 years? 10? How long are we going to have to wait, Pratt, to negotiate?
I think considering the current circumstances and the fact that there is still a lot of unknowns around both this terrorist attack and the killing of Ryland Dor, we need to have all our answers straight before we can really sign off on anything.
I see. Well, listen, Pratt. I don't know who did this, but I will just say that we spiders have been, hiding away in holes for 800 years now. We used to enjoy the fresh airs and peace and prosperity, just like your kingdom seemingly, well, maybe less so now, but you have peace and prosperity is what I'm trying to say. And, well, we've desired the benefits of that for our own selves. And, the Moondew Glade was part of how that was going to happen. And I don't know if I can tell my people that, sorry, we're just going to have to continue living in holes for the foreseeable future. Shrug. That's not going to fly very well. And I fear that if you force me to say that, the sorts of incidents that happened at your wedding might increase in number. The spiders might get angry. I'm not saying I want there to be violence. Violence, is not good for my own aims. Because it makes the political situation not great for negotiating. But I fear if you renege on the deal, that might be what happens. And I'm not in a position to control that.
He just kind of looks back over his advisors, and then he looks back at the guards, and then he just kind of looks back at you. His face is... I don't know, his eyes are just kind of twinkling a little bit as he just looks at you for a little while, and then he says... That sounds a little bit like a threat, Sylvester.
I assure you, it is not a threat. It would go against my own interests. I mean, even if we were to attack, that would bring heat on us and almost assuredly lead to the destruction of our own society. I assure you, I do not want attacks that are senseless. Or any attacks. Because any attacks from our position would be senseless. We're not in a position to fight you. So I will do whatever I can to stop violence, but I cannot. I'm not in a leadership position of my people. I don't control them. I'm just a historian. I write notes about things that happened in the past and try to bring that forward for the next generation and instill in them, the want to pass this down further. That's what I do. I don't manage spiders. I don't, raise terrorists. I'm just a historian.
He just kind of nods as you say all this then, and he just kind of looks at the floor a little bit, and then just kind of like thinks to himself a bit, and he goes, "You do understand what's at risk here, whether if you tell the spiders or not, and what the people of Trottleara want in regards to this could boil over into, as you said, because it isn't just your people who would get wiped out in this, Sylvester. We would lose a lot of our people as well, and whether you like it or not, what Trottleara was founded on was that it was meant to be a home for all peoples. Perhaps the spiders felt like they had to be driven out because of this, but it's not just us that are here, the forest folk. There's humans, there's orcs, there's elves, there's quite a lot. And with that, there's always going to be tensions with people, and I have tried as hard as I can, for the past year being king, to avoid things falling into war. So what I'm going to ask is this, because you may be a historian, Sylvester, but there's the history of Trottleara, the future of Trottleara is very much at stake here, and the future of your people as well. So I'm going to need you to help me. Please.
Okay. Okay. I can help in certain ways. What do you need done?
He just goes through the file again, and he just starts to produce paperwork for you and hands it over to you. I don't know if these people, I don't know whether these spiders are people you know, or perhaps they're from a rival tribe somewhere. Spiders, I know that they go beyond just you guys. They can come from all sorts of brood mothers. I understand that, but I just need you to find out who was responsible for the attack and for the who was responsible for the murder of Ryland Dorr, and that we can bring them to justice. Alright? Now, we're not going to have much success with that, being from Trottleara. However, you do come from Spider Society. You're going to know what to say to them. You will probably even be able to appeal to them on some basis because of your work on the Moondew Glade. So, Sylvester, if you can, I would like you to return from where you came from, and please only return to Trottleara when you have the information that we need. Do you understand?
Yes, and I can do that. I'll get you what you want.
Okay. He looks over at his guys and just goes, free him up. them guards head over and cut your binds, Sylvester.
Oh, and just to be clear, if I do this, you will promise to give us the Moondew Glade.
He nods and says, if you can prove that the people who are responsible for doing this aren't your people, then yes, we can discuss again regarding folding you back into our society by giving you back the Moondew Glade.
All right.
He nods over at his advisors to be like, yeah, and they head off for a couple of seconds, and Pratt just kind of looks at you, and he's just rubbing his temples, and he's like, I'm so sorry about this, Sylvester, but I think you understand what we're dealing with, the enormity of what we're dealing with here, right?
I understand. It's a delicate web, you could say, where when one strand breaks, the entire thing falls apart.
He nods up and down as his advisors return. Holding the little hands of Garcian, who is currently eating a bar of chocolate.
Garcian, what are you doing here? I thought I told you to get away.
I did, but I couldn't think of where to go, so I headed towards the castle.
Oh, and why didn't they lock you up?
I don't know. He looks at Pratt, and Pratt just kind of looks at you and goes, I mean, he wasn't posing a threat or anything, so yeah, I just let him in. I asked who you were, but no information. Then we asked him about, the terrorist attack, and yeah, he didn't know nothing either.
I see. Well, Garcian, we have work to do. We have a great responsibility.
Yeah, Pratt just kind of nods at you as you say that and goes, "You should those guards will give you a leading out of the castle, out of Trottleara, but like I said, you're gonna need to get to the bottom of this, alright? And for God's sake, please work fast, alright? Because the longer we put this off, the more things are gonna be falling into talk of war, especially with the likes of Zapiro and Ro Bartholomew out there who seem to be stoking the flames of it, alright?
I see. Well, I'll be as fast with investigations as I possibly can.
I thought you were going to say I'll be as fast as investigations as I am with being a historian, which I don't think you have to be that quick to be a historian. It's quite a nice slow-going thing.
Yeah, you can wait a couple hundred years before, digging something up. No huge time pressure.
No, of course. But yeah, so Pratt just kind of looks over as his guards who, are going to lead you and Garcian out of the castle and out of Trottleara. But he has given you some paperwork to start off with, at least.
Okay. Now you mentioned there were some pictures of people in there. Mm-hmm. Do I recognize any of them? Or would I recognize what group they come from, whether or not they're from my home group or from the group living out of the temple that Roland Ward would have visited?
That's true.
Or
yeah. Good question. Perhaps we should leave it on that cliffhanger for now. Unless
right.
you all right.
No, that's a good cliffhanger.
As Garcian's just kind of looking at you with kind of I don't know, he's just kind of looking at you almost a little bit upset because, I don't know, maybe he's a little bit worried that perhaps things have become a lot more complicated than maybe he had initially thought.
Well, Garcian, sometimes, when you want something, it gets very complicated, but that's just the way it is. And I don't have many options here, but we're just going to have to do do our best for our spider people.
Your spider people.
Yeah, to give them the opportunity that my Uncle Ben never would have gotten.
Exactly. And so, yeah, the guy, he really does believe in, the spider people problem, and, as a kid, at the end of the day, I don't want to make an enemy of anybody. I certainly don't want to go to war with them. I just, why can't everybody just get along,
You're saying that like the war is already a definite, but you know it isn't. You know you've got wriggle room. There's still moves to be made before war is a definite. Look, I've been talking to people in this bar. Everyone here is worried about the war, and they don't want one. If you try and find a peaceful solution, I guarantee you, people here, they're gonna back you up on that one. They're not gonna see it as a sign of weakness or backing down. They're gonna see that as the smart move. Why take a war when we don't need one?
You think so? Because, there's so many people out there that, they always just give, I don't want to name any names or anything, but those two guys at my wedding, they've been making a storm out of this whole thing. They're giving the easy answers to people.
Two guys. How many people were at that wedding?
He does look at you, finishing off the Malbec as he does, and he goes, yeah, no, you're right. No, you are right. Yeah, you are right. You're right. Of course you're right. That's why you're here, and that's why I'm a guy who doesn't have any answers about what to do.
Look, before you got in here, there were a few people in the corner of the bar, getting rowdy, getting loud. But people didn't want to go over there and start a conflict. They didn't want to fight. They just wanted someone to calm it down. I went over there. I had a few choice words, and peace resolved. It did cost me a few coin of my finest ale, but problem was resolved, and probably saved money because they're no longer cutting up the table.
He looks over his shoulder to have a look at whatever table you mentioned, and kind of looks back and goes, so you're saying I should, I don't know, I'd love to be a mediator in all of this, but,
You've got people working for you, and besides, my situation was far less complicated than your one, and that's not to say, disregard everything I just said, but you'll find your answers.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of people who worked for me and all, and even your situation, I don't even know if I really got a chance to properly thank you about what you did for my mom and dad. You turned up at the castle and, spun the story, which seems so unbelievable, and then, I run into the infirmary, and there they are, just as I remember them, just as they left all that time ago, nothing had happened, and then...
I can't take much credit for that. I was just... wrong place at the right time. Cart went over, taken hostage by that absolute... Well, I don't even want to think of him, as long as I never see his... Well, I won't see his face ever again, but...
No. That guy he tried escaping the castle, yeah, and he just kind of rubs his temples. God, that's another story as well. Listen, if I'm holding you up, don't you got other people to turn to. Right? I wouldn't mind another drink though. What do you recommend?
Well, if you're taking my time, you can pay for this one as well.
Yeah, he puts his hand in his pocket and just puts down a small cartoonish brown bag with a dollar sign on it, because as we all remember, the denomination of Trottleara is the US dollar. So
yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay, I'll get you more than one. So
yeah, I'm here for the whole night.
All right then. And he walks to the pump and he pours out a pint of Whiskers.
Ooh.
Whiskers is a milk stout. Quite a heavy drink, this one, but it is quite sweet, being a milk stout and all. It's a drink that is quite heavy, but also kind of warming and welcoming. Something that essentially Duncan pours out and says, "This drink here, Whiskers, made by the Dark Sky Brewery. One of my favourite breweries then, but it's only recently that they've not been on the edge of collapse. They've been around for as long as I've been in the business, and they've just never They always seem to just be on the verge of collapse, but now starting to sell everywhere. Thanks to me, but that's neither here nor there. It's a good stout there, and that should something a bit heavier than the wine anyway. Something a bit stronger, and I said I'd get you 2.
Alright. Yeah, he picks up the glass and he just starts sipping it and he goes, these guys are always out of business? Oh, this is pretty good. What, have they just got some bad luck or something?
Just bad luck. No, many places wouldn't sell it. I mean, they're a little bit pricier than your average stout, but don't make as much, and the quality's pretty good. And there you go. He said I'd get you 2. So he reached behind the bar and he kind of comes back with an empty bottle, and then just kind of realizes it's a bottle of Sailor's Mate. And he kind of goes, oh, hang on. And then he goes back down and he pulls out a very similar looking bottle called Sailor's Gold. And he pulls that out. Oh, I've run out of Sailor's Mate, but this stuff's just as good. Sailor's Gold. A lot of people call it a knockoff of Sailor's Mate, but honestly, this is usually is the more popular nowadays. But well, we've had some pirates and sailors in, so they've been buying Sailor's Mate to actually, respect the original. But no, this is fine. Amongst the locals, this one sells better. May not be the real deal, but it is the real deal.
He kind of picks it up and he goes, funny, it's called gold, but yeah, I don't know, I can't see much gold on it.
It is a kind of white. Yeah. It is a kind of white rum.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got golden rum, but I think they're just saying gold is in, it's good. And it is good.
Considering you gave him a rum, I was debating just Pratt just immediately makes a Boilermaker with the milk stout, but that would be disgusting. So no, he's gonna.
I mean, maybe he could ask for a Cuba Libre, but Cuba doesn't exist. So,
Snake, does Cuba exist in this? Does it exist in the setting of questions? We can. I'm gonna
say no, but then also you got the question of does Coke exist? Which
that is true, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Cuba Libre asking that question, that's a whole kettle of fish.
God, yeah. He continues with the milk stout while continuously, kind of playing with the drink, and he goes, yeah, God, that does remind me of something, yeah. Yeah, I should probably, if you got a minute, maybe I'll go into that as well.
Well, I got plenty of time, and you got 2 drinks, so... You don't usually drink this much, so tell me your story and pace yourself.
He nods up and down then, as he then goes back to sipping the milk stout. It has been a couple of days since the attack in Trottleara Centre at the day of Pratt and Susie's wedding. Now, the two of you weren't in town at the time, despite being Pratt's most trusted but newest advisors. Oh, actually, I should probably maybe follow up on that first. So, let's talk to Eclipse. You first, because you're the person who has been working most recently for Pratt, only a few weeks at this point. How are you finding your new job as the magical advisor to the Kingdom of Trottleara?
Harrowing, to say the least.
Wow.
I like to think there was a lot of guinea pigging of magical artifacts and kind of Indiana Jonesing rumors, and just getting beat up and coming home in like a cartoonishly like seared body kind of deal.
At least your bad luck hasn't factored too much into it. That's kind of that's not as bad as it used to be for the most part.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better than
things used to be.
Yeah.
Versus old Mark Mountain, or as Pratt knows you, Greenie McButtons. You've been more kind of on a You've been more of a kind of a diplomat to Trottleara, so you've had the opportunity to kind of just travel around on the royal dime. And how's that figured out so far?
Well, I'll tell you, it has been exceedingly valuable, fruitful, And I'm not gonna lie, I've made a lot of money for myself and the Kingdom of Trottleara, but mostly for myself.
If you had to do it in a percentage, it would be like 70-30, 80-20.
70. Greenie McButtons is gonna publicly say 70-30, but
Right.
in reality, it's 90-10.
There may be some documentation coming. There may be a scandal revolving around advisors' pay rates, but we don't have to worry about that just yet because there is something a bit more pressing that we do have to worry about, which is Eclipse, of course. During your time at Trottleara Castle, you've probably you found yourself put in the place of a quote-unquote expert regarding the silver wand that was found underneath Trottleara Castle.
Right.
Mark, this is the first time you've really heard about this because they mostly keep you in the loop of like the kind of political and financial dealings of Trottleara, but you did meet the king and queen during your trip to Trottleara Castle, and you do remember that, their memories were scorched, essentially.
I
due
sure
to
do.
the events that happened to them. They bit of a blank canvas, and essentially this wand here, this special wand, is really old, far older than even whatever Trottleara looked like before the age of man. Before the age of man, back in the days of when it was only elves and dwarves in the place. So this is like really raw stuff, which the thought is that it is pure magic, so it could potentially bring their memories back. But it has been a lot of weeks of essentially figuring out how do we approach this, which King Pratt, in, all of his wisdom, as little wisdom as he has, unfortunately, has had to turn to his advisors to he wants to get your idea on how do we approach this. And this is the scene as is at the moment. The two of you are in the royal throne room. In front of you is Pratt, who is holding this enormous silver wand. His parents are sitting on chairs in front of him from there. Also joining the two of you are the only other magical experts who get on decently enough with Pratt, which is his granduncle, Professor Pratt, and Balian the Reinstated, who used to be the potions master until he lost his job and then got his job back again at Pratt's birthday. And he just looks at you two and he goes, "Right, so I have been thinking about this, and is this the right thing to do? Using magic to, bring my parents' memories back?"
Just as a point of visual,
Yes.
the wand is just like floating around in Mark's eyes, like
yeah.
cartoonishly, as if he's staring.
And
then the wand disappears and like dollar signs appear.
I'm going to say there, certainly Eclipse, you do feel a magnetic force coming off this wand. Mark, you not so much, but this thing is like pure reflective. Oh yeah, this thing is. Even if it isn't magic, this thing would fetch a pretty big price on the market.
Yeah, Mark says to himself, "That thing belongs in a private collection."
But Pratt is asking, what should I do? Should I use magic to help my parents?
I don't see why not. Magic helped me get better. Do you feel like it's cheating in some sort of way?
I don't know. It's just, and he kind of like looks over at his granduncle, who kind of looks at the two of you and he goes, "This stuff's pretty old, and we don't quite understand how all of it works, and it's possible that there may be an unforeseen cost to it for them to get their memories back. It may lead to something else. Of course, I wasn't here when you got healed up and whatever else happened to you, Mr. Catman, so I don't know, perhaps if somebody got hurt elsewhere. There's too many unknowns to this whole thing, so I do think you may have to take that in mind, Mr. King Pratt, my wonderful grandnephew. As Pratt just kind of looks a bit confused at him and then looks at you and he goes, "But you think it's a good idea, right, Eclipse?"
I don't see too much harm in it. So far, I've been fine.
Okay.
But my healing wasn't, memory related.
He nods.
We can continue to hold on to the wand and work on getting your parents' memories back naturally. And while we're conducting tests on the wand, we can potentially use it if we can figure out any cost benefit analysis, basically.
Yeah.
At this,
yeah.
Greenie makes a wild gesticulation and says, "Point of order. What gives us the right to overwrite the personalities that they have formed since their minds have been lost? Aren't they people too? Fresh, newborn people, but people nonetheless?"
Pratt does kind of look sort of back and forth while looking back at his parents, because over the past couple of weeks, they did lose their memories, but not all of them. They do still remember Pratt to, love an extent, but they don't quite remember the context of a lot of that. And they have been enjoying their time in the castle. They've been seeing it from fresh eyes, essentially, almost like a bit of a fairy tale whirlwind tour of royalty. But I don't know, Pratt's just kind of looking a bit awkward, and he's just like, "I know, but I almost feel like not bringing their memories back is robbing them of who they were and all that stuff." So, that being said, you are making a pretty convincing argument here, Mark. Would you like to try and roll on convincing Pratt? Okay,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna say, Eclipse, if you want to try and stop him from doing that, I could let you roll a challenge roll, but it's your call.
See, the thing is that was a very good argument.
It is a very good argument.
Oh man.
See, this is why I wanted you. This is why I wanted you two here, because you're diametric opposites. One is good and one is bad. So. I'm gonna say, Mark, if you want to roll 2d6 plus 1 for persuasion, because I think that'd be quite good.
So that's gonna be an 8 total.
Oh, okay. Pratt looks then back at Eclipse and wants to see what he thinks about Mark's, Greenie's pitch there.
So this is, I guess, me asking you. I guess if they get their memories back, would they be reinstated as king and queen, or since now they're just back in general, they're king and it's prince, and Pratt is back to being prince?
I mean, that's gonna have to be something that we discuss, but only if they want to. I mean, they've been out of power for nearly a year, and considering what I've been able to do with the kingdom, we've gone through bad. We've had a couple of ups and downs, but I think things are getting pretty good around here with me in charge.
I think with their memories back, it could potentially aid us in the future in general. They have the knowledge and the experience that they can help us with if we bring their memories back.
He looks at Mark. Greenie, I mean. Yeah, he looks at Greenie McButtons, the person that he knows as Greenie McButtons.
Greenie walks up to to Pratt's parents and puts his hands, because they're sitting there, right?
Yeah, they are. They're just kind of sitting quietly, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for what happens next.
Patty cake.
Yeah. And I said, "Well, Prince, what of your parents' retirement? I mean, if they get their memories back, they might feel the need to work themselves into public life again and at their advanced age, that might be detrimental to their health. But, as you know, I leave the decision up to you, my king.
As you do mention health, King Brennan Hemlock does have a small little coughing fit again, which is something that he's been doing quite often since he's returned from, the events of a couple of weeks ago, which Pratt is kind of like looking at Eclipse and he goes, I should really consider, I should maybe use magic to try and fix whatever that is, but I have no idea what it is because, he doesn't know what it is.
I mean, if he's willing, my curse, my bad luck just went away. So maybe nice little twirl and poke with the wand, you'll be better.
He looks then over at his dad and he's like, do you want to be better? And his dad just kind of looks a bit awkward and then looks up at Greenie McButtons, and then looks back and he goes, well, it is a pretty bad coughing fit that I got, so, any kind of medicine that we've been using hasn't really seemed to have done the trick, so, magic's a bit of an unknown thing, but, unfortunately there's not really much me nor your mother knows, so, I say we leave it to chance. Pratt is looking back at Eclipse, then he is thinking, he's a little bit not sure about the memory thing, but he is gonna take a chance on, he's gonna, as he said, he's gonna do a twirl like Sailor Moon, and then he's gonna poke his dad with this pool cue sized magic wand and see what happens. Now, both of you roll 2d6.
Okay.
Oh my god, please don't melt.
Don't melt.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I rolled
no.
a 3.
I got a 6.
Oh no.
Oh, he's gonna melt.
Pratt turns around then. He closes his eyes and he thinks as hard as he can about his father getting better and whatever this cough, whatever it is, just fixing itself. And with a little prod to his father's cushy chest, a nice twinkle of magic just sparkles over his coat and seems to warm him all over. He does start to have a small coughing fit again, and then through some hard phlegm, that then seems to subside. His eyes are twinkly, and sort of rocking back and forth in the chair, he goes, Yeah, I think that did the trick. Oh, I'm feeling better than ever. Pratt is, looking at the two of you, is this good?
I sheepishly kind of put up a thumbs up because...
Yeah. And he looks at Mark for his response.
Mark smiles broadly and gives a little nod. But his heart isn't into it because his teeth don't twinkle when he smiles.
That's how you know. That's his tell. Pratt, after doing that to his father, he goes, "Oh, well, if it's good at curing people, maybe I'll do the memory thing already then. Let's see how that goes." Because you rolled a 6, well, there is actually, because you both wrote bad, there is going to be a big old downside that we're not going to know about for a while, I think, with his father. But I'm also going to say that Pratt's just going to go right ahead and bop his parents with the wand, and we'll see what happens. So, first things first, he taps his father in the forehead, and then second things second, he taps his mother in the forehead. They just kind of pause for a little bit and just kind of shake. It's just kind of slowly rocking back and forth.
Greenie reflexively just takes a couple steps backward.
Good idea, because the moment that you do, both of them just start screaming hysterically.
Oh no.
Pratt is freaking out. He pulls the wand to his chest and he looks at his granduncle and he goes, if I had to think what's happening, I imagine all their memories are coming back at once, so it's probably taking a little bit of a toll on them, Pratt. King Pratt is nodding, but he is still totally freaked out as his parents they gone mad. They gone fucking nuts with all their memories coming back at once. He makes a finger motion over to Mark to be like, come over here, because he wants to speak to you and Eclipse separately for a second.
Mark Greeny slides up to Pratt and he's actually like pulling little bits of cotton out of a pocket and like putting it into his ears.
Yeah, he starts speaking to you and he's like, yeah, you can't hear him through the cotton wall.
I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of your parents screaming hysterically. What are you talking about? He actually takes you maybe into another wing of the castle then, as Bally and the Reinstated and Professor Pratt are left to care after the King and Queen. In a hallway then, he holds the wand out and kind of looks at you two and he goes, so, as you can probably tell, this thing's a bit of we can't really have this in Trottleara, especially, I'd like to think I'm a pretty safe pair of hands, but I mean, if this falls into the clutches of somebody, a ne'er-do-well, especially with this talk of war going on and, the people who attacked the wedding and all that, I'd hate to think what happens. So, considering you are my most trusted advisors, both in magic and looking at Greeny, everything in your case, I suppose.
Everything else.
Everything else, exactly. Can I trust you two to seal this away so that no one will ever get their hands on it as long as Trottleara stands?
Greeny leans in and says, why, of course, my king. But might I make one suggestion? I will take the wand and I'll take it as far away from Trottleara as we possibly can. You're going to need the help of your magic advisor during this trying time.
He looks over at Eclipse. Eclipse, how do you feel about the fact that this guy has jumped at the opportunity to take this wand?
Well, the thing is, as the magic advisor,
yes,
I don't think that Greeny is well equipped enough to find a place to seal it.
No,
he hasn't gone through the troubles that Eclipse that myself has gone through. And so okay. I think it's a little too dangerous. I'd like to go with you, Greeny.
Well, if you insist, it's ultimately up to our king.
He looks at the pair of you and he goes, well, yeah, I think that the magical advisor should travel with anything magical. And, the two of you, you're going to be, you're going to be a single unit. You're going to be able to achieve more than one person can on their own. And, in case one of you gets attacked or, there's a bump on the road or whatever, you got each other's back. Ain't that great?
Yeah, team advisor.
Yeah.
Yes, team advisor. Of course. Team. A pair.
He holds out the wand then, expecting that both of you will, grab it, from him.
Yeah.
like a team. Yeah. We're all hands on it together.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay, so all 6 pairs of hands then go on the wand until Pratt then lets it go and kind of, I don't know, he almost kind of looks, I don't know, he just looks a bit worried because he goes, you think this is the right thing to do, right? Because, like I said, we shouldn't... even for my own sake, I'd hate the idea that, I'd maybe use that wand for nefarious purposes or whatever like that. I don't want to give anybody the opportunity to use this wand for evil. You guys understand that, right?
Absolutely.
Of course, my king. Look at me. There's never been anyone with such a pure spirit as me, and that is why I love advising you. I want to guide you on the path to righteousness.
Yeah, of course.
And Greenie kind of like is tugging the wand a little bit.
Fought away from Eclipse.
The Eclipse's grip has like tightened just enough.
Okay. I would say that Pratt's just kind of, he looks back and the kind of screaming's kind of died down a little bit and he goes like, maybe those guys have maybe got themselves a little bit back more together. So, I can leave this in your guys' care, right? I got nothing to worry about, okay?
Absolutely.
The big old beast man nods his big smiley head then, and he's like, all right, well, hey, if you need any travel supplies and all that sort of stuff, you know who to talk to, so, let me know how you get on with the whole wand business, okay? And leaves you two alone with that big-ass wand.
I let go of it and let Eclipse hold it. Like,
Oh,
well, you
okay.
are the magic advisor. I'll let you carry that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't. It's a long ass pull cue, so I don't really have like a place to put it. So I guess wield it, in a sense.
Yeah, I suppose you just want to maybe get something to carry it in, so it's not so obvious what it is. And
Yeah.
and what I would kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're
Mark,
good.
Mark has a bunch of empty trombone cases.
That is true, actually. He does famously have a lot of empty trombone cases, and he has so many of them. I mean, the question would be which one is the wand, because he might want to take all those trombone cases with him on those trips, and only he really knows which one the wand might be in. But I wonder. What I will ask is this then, because this may require a little bit of. A little bit of time travel to kind of figure out what happens next. So I guess I'll ask the both of you then. How do you plan to, quote-unquote, seal this wand away somewhere that no one will ever find it again?
My thought was to return to, like a previous like set of ruins or whatever that I've traveled to. And
Okay.
kind of reinstate the traps in a sense, like kind of reverse engineer and like return it or bring the wand to like, the goal, the end of the dungeon, so to speak. And then kind of just like slowly on the way back, reinstate all the traps.
That sounds like a smart idea. Greenie, what's your thoughts about all of this?
Do you want what Greenie outwardly says or what he inwardly says?
I'd like both. Oh, outwardly first, inwardly second.
All right, so outwardly, yes, exactly that. Inwardly, while Eclipse is like reinstating all the traps, he's going to be asking a ton of questions about like. So how do you disable these traps if you forgot?
Just
if
in case.
Just in case you leave your coin purse in there or something. What if you need to get back in? So he's going to be, just be writing and like writing notes, drawing maps, and all that stuff.
Okay.
While Eclipse is doing all this.
And I guess what I will ask is this is maybe a last bit of a tiny bit of conflict. Then, Eclipse, do you want to try and roll to see if you ever become aware of Mark Mountain's true intentions? How do you want to do this? Do you want to roll this maybe as a challenge between yourselves, like whoever gets the highest number wins out, or what?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Roll both roll 2d6 then.
I got a 4 total. I rolled a 2 and a 2.
7.
Oh boy. Oh no. Eclipse.
What did he roll?
He rolled a 7.
Oh.
For the most part, Eclipse, you don't really get you get a bad vibe from this guy, but you don't really think anything of the notes that the questions that he's asking.
I like to think this relationship has turned into like a Top Cat situation.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm imagining as well.
He's Top Cat and I'm Benny the Ball.
ATC. Oh, no. So I guess at some point then, Mark, with this information, I imagine you're not going to do it in the immediate future, but I imagine you want to act on the information regarding that wand, correct?
Yes, I'm either going to act on it myself or you know,
Sell the information. Sell it to the highest bidder.
Sell the information to the highest bidder.
Oh boy. Okay. I think we can potentially leave that as a cliffhanger then for something we may pick up in the future, because that is a pretty dangerous piece of kit that it has now been left behind out in the middle of nowhere. In fact, what I will ask is Eclipse.
Yeah.
What is the name of that temple that you left it at?
Destiny's Maw.
That's a good name. Destiny's Maw. And has it got like a... whereabouts would you say in the continent is it? Is it north of Trottleara or south? And what's the kind of...
Southern.
It's southern. That's cool. And what kind of... Does it have like a unique feature to it? Like, is it got like a waterfall or like something like that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of like a jungle ruin kind of with a Mesoamerican kind of feel. So like it's
neat.
like the entrance is like flooded with waterfall not fully covering it, but there's a lot of overgrowth, so it's still camouflaged within the environment.
Works for me. I would say in your case, Mark, if you ever go back there, you're not going to do any of the heavy lifting. Hire some guys to find it for you.
Absolutely not. And Mark is going to do one more thing after the everything is set and they're leaving. Mark is going to try to fake his own death.
What? As in, well, after leaving the wand there, he's gonna try and like off himself on the way back to Trottleara.
He's gonna try to fake his own death just so he throws everything off.
Okay. Roll 2d6 plus persuasion then.
That's a total of 12.
Oh my gosh. God. What are the details of what is this elaborate way that Mark Mountain Greenie McButtons has been able to dispose of himself?
So I'm just imagining at some point they're riding their carriage back along it's kind of like a mountain road with one side is mountain, the other side is like a sheer cliff. And Mark has been talking ad nauseum about like just this little bauble he has in his pocket, and he's been setting up the entire time, like, oh, this little trinket of mine, it was my father's, and it's not his father's. He actually stole it from somebody's drawer right before the trip. Like, this belonged to my father, and it really means so much to me. I would, if anything should happen to it, and at some point the carriage is gonna like hit a little bump, and he's gonna take the opportunity to like drop it and down the sheer cliff face.
Oh my gosh.
And at this point, Mark is going to be like, no! And he's going to like lean and fall out of the carriage, but then hit the ground before he hits the cliff face and roll back under the carriage. and just like stay under the carriage and act as if it like pretend that he's not there anymore.
Eclipse. Roll 2d6.
Oh, this is not going to go well.
We'll see.
7.
I want to leave this in your hands. Do you want to believe that Greenie McButtons, Pratt's most trusted advisor, beloved by all, died accidentally after dropping something off the cart, rolling after it, and then getting caught under the wheels? Or did you become aware over the course of this adventure that maybe he's a huckster, and you're going to be the only person who believes that he's not really dead?
Definitely the latter.
Okay. I'm going to say, though, that you will, because of the 7 to 9, you're not going to be able to act on this information in a way that Mark has now...
As far as
will
I
be
know,
able,
he did fall to his death, but it's one of those, like...
They never found the body.
You never saw a body.
Yeah. No body, no death kind of rules.
Uh-huh. Everyone will believe that Mark Mountain... Greenie McButtons unfortunately passed on...
Yes.
Greenie McButtons unfortunately passed on the mountain trail. But Eclipse, you know better. And perhaps sometime in the future, you will get to the bottom of why he did that. So yeah, I mean, poor guy, I only worked with him a couple of months and bam, just fell off the side of the road just like Mom and Dad did. But unlike them, he wasn't... We can't find him. I mean, we have to legally declare him dead, so...
That's a travesty. We can't all get lucky in scrapes like that.
He just kind of sniffles a little bit. He goes, actually, it's... So my granduncle, Professor Pratt, he came back and he did warn me. He said that, the magic has its price to pay. And he did say that maybe my parents' memories coming back would come at the cost of something else. And I gotta think that maybe that's how we lost Greenie McButtons. Was that, that was just the world correcting itself. Maybe if I didn't bring the memories back at all, they would have... Maybe he'd still be here.
Look, it's early days, and you were doing what you thought was right. Your parents were taken from you; they were taken from themselves. You were just trying to bring them back, and no one can blame you for that. Now, magic, it's a scary thing. Can you imagine how surprised I was when I got back and it was unbanned? I could finally sell drinks off the top shelf again. But speaking of, he does. Yeah, he finishes the he does finish the rum that you gave him, and he is looking at the top shelf as well to see what kind of stuff you got. So in Trottleara pub culture, it used to be that the bottom shelf wasn't, bottom shelf as in bad drinks. The bottom shelf was for the mundies or mundane drinks that don't have any magical component or magical side effects.
Yeah.
Ever since the magic ban, the top shelf, which was reserved for potions and elixirs, is now just kind of a display case of drinks that couldn't legally be sold, but generally very expensive, and bars would keep them as a display piece, as a sign of, look what we've got. Duncan, since his travel involved a lot of magical drinks, was coming back intending to try and undo the magic ban in that regard and popularize them, and was kind of beaten to the punch. Pun not intended in drinking parlance, but
yeah.
So now he is able to sell stuff off the top shelf, and the top shelf is full of drinks that are kind of bioluminescent and glowing, and some are sparking, like they've got electricity running through them. And and I'm just a publican, but even I'm still want to sell these drinks, but they're expensive and they're unwieldy, and a lot of people still don't trust them. And there is a lot of magic that can't be trusted, but it can be used for good too.
I guess. Yeah. No, you're right. I guess you're right. He's just, his finger kind of like moves back and forth, and then he points at the bottle that looks the most interesting.
This, and he pulls it down. This is a bourbon.
Ooh, exciting.
It is a kind of brownish gold, and there is essentially a pulsating golden light that travels up the bottle, disappears, and then re-emerges at the bottom. It says on the front, Finders Seekers.
Finders Seekers, huh?
Drink from the Far West Prospectors. This one's an interesting one. It's a bit rough, it's a bit unpleasant. I'm not sure if that's quite on your palate, but you're welcome to try it. It is a little bit more expensive than the Mondays that you've been drinking.
He just kind of looks at the drink and then looks at himself and he goes, I think considering how things might go, I think I need to put a bit more hair on my chest. So, he taps the table and then reaches in and produces another bag of gourds with a dollar sign on it.
Yeah, Duncan takes that and he pours it, and the drink continues to pulsate, and he says, now, I ought to warn you about this drink. This one isn't a Monday. This one does have some magic in it. It's nothing too horrible, though. Nothing that will have you, bouncing off the walls or nothing like that. This one, drink it and see, and you will see.
It's a bit of a surprise, huh?
Aye. I think you'll find it an interesting surprise, though. Actually, considering I don't know how... just go ahead.
He kind of looks and he goes, well, yeah, I guess I better, we don't know what we don't know, huh? And knocks it back.
So...
Go ahead.
As he drinks it takes a moment. There's like a kind of delay where he maybe looks at Duncan and thinks, what's going on? And then every colour in the room seems a lot more vivid. First it seems more vivid, then it kind of browns out, then seems more vivid again. And then eventually, only certain objects are starting to show up in any real amount of colour.
Huh. He's kind of playing around with his usual browned hand, like in front of his eyes, kind of moving it back and forth.
Oh, the prospectors drank this. His properties was it said that it would let you see what you wanted to see. It would separate out the gold in those hills, let you know where to look and what you're looking for. Now, it's quite a rudimentary thing, and, well, what you're desiring is answers, so you're probably only getting the most vague of hints from what that drink is telling you.
Pontiac Lestrade. It has been a couple of weeks since you did work in the Kingdom of Trottleara. Of course, as you are, there's nothing really about, you never get caught up in the personal details of these work. At the end of the day, it is a paying job. And obviously, you handed over that, what looked like a big old magic wand to King Pratt, even after all your escapades with even getting the thing out of below the castle Trottleara. But hey, these things happen. It is part and parcel with the work that you do. And what I will say is, well, very much you are back to doing your usual stuff. You are not under the thumb of anyone, really. You've completed another nice bit of work. So let me ask you this. Where are you currently? What are you up to?
Well, Pontiac, it's been a couple of weeks, so I think what her go-to move would be, write some research, get ready to publish that off, on some of the things she found, particularly with the stone automatons. And
Absolutely.
Probably having finished that, I imagine she would be selling that, lens, trying to sell that lens she found at auction now that she's established what it is to, get some money from that.
I will say that the discoveries that you made and the physical discoveries that you've made, have got a lot of interest in different markets. And, far beyond the people of Trottleara with their meager money, there are a lot of, noble elves and established houses and stuff like that are all kind of grasping to get their hands on this technology that you have discovered. Let me ask you, when you say writing, Pontiac's writing her papers and such like that, does she have like a particular home address, or is she is she almost like a kind of a Dr. Jones type? Does she work out of a university of some sort?
I don't think she works out of a university
No.
anymore. Or if she does, it's one of the... I think she might still technically, but it's one of those sort of, like, correspondence courses, kind of shady, for-profit university things.
Oh, it's a Hamburger University deal, I
Yeah.
see. Interesting. So what's her usual home base then? Or what's her usual haunt, I will say?
I imagine she's probably, in theory, just kind of has a covered wagon. That's her, with a bed and whatnot. That's her true home. But she parks that in, like, I would say somewhere she can have some hangar or something set up, maybe pays rent for, like, a garage and has the whole thing done up nice to park her thing in, but has to always be ready to be on the go.
That sounds pretty good. Well, what I will say then is your cart is currently parked in just in the shadow of a saloon in the city of Jogathon. Jogathon, which is much beyond where Trottleara is based, but is a kingdom with its own rich history and plenty to dig into in regards to, potential discoveries, although nobody has really given her work yet. And let me ask, how are Ariana, Nostria, and, of course, everyone's favourite pet, Snaker getting on?
I imagine pretty well, I'm not sure what they choose to, spend their, parts of the profits on, of the thing. They are paid employees, of course.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I imagine that Ariana is she's investing her money into jewels that she can weave into her into her webbing to make fancy jewelry of the sort. That's a nice little side hustle that she has in your cart.
She sells them on I can't think of a good fantasy Etsy pun, but that's you can that you're the GM, you fill in the world details.
It's Etsy, but it's spelled in a fantastical way. It's with a Z instead of an S.
Oh,
there
love
we
it.
go.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
An X instead of a T and a Z instead of an X. XD. There we go. Nostria is using their part of the funding to mostly on gambling. Unfortunately, is that's their vice. Snake is saving their money up as they work on writing their reviews of children's board games and the like that they see from town to town. And, next time they get to a billboard, they'll put those reviews up and, see what people think of them. They're not really reviews, though. They're more so like... they call them game travel docs of, their thoughts as they go through playing board games and the like. Yeah. But, that's their thing, Everybody has their own little thing, and... Basically, as you're kind of relaxing in your car with black coffee with a little shot of bourbon in it, it kind of feels like there's the potential that there may be work around the corner. And almost as if by dramatic irony, there is a knock on the side of your cart.
Yeah, Pontiac, sort of kicks up, just... could smell the whiff of money in the air and just pokes her head out to see what opportunity's knocking at her door.
The opportunity that is knocking are two dwarves dressed in suits, black sunglasses, and pork pie hats.
Oh no. Ominous.
Very much so. One has an orange beard, the other one has a black beard.
Alright, well, God, I don't... Pontiac hops down, sort of kicks her, sort of useless spurs I imagine she's wearing right now. What can I do you fellers for?
You're, Pontiac Lestrade?
That's what my mama calls me.
Well, very well, that's what we'll call you as well. We have a particular interested party who wants to speak to you. Is this a good time?
There ain't no time but the present for anything. That's why I always say. Now, what can I do you for?
Clicks his fingers and he's like, follow us. As the two of them are leading you into the bar that that your cart is parked next to.
Alright, like where this is going.
Alrighty. You are heading inside then, and this is quite a nice little establishment. Actually, what I will say is this. You may have travelled into Jogathon quite a few times, so would you say that this is maybe a saloon that you would know well? Like
sure.
the reputation... So they're reputable enough that is why you are parking next to them, is that maybe you are in good graces with the landlady, in fact. So, yeah, I think that works out pretty well. So if anything does potentially go south with this business deal, well, there are always people to back you up. But these two dwarves are kind of leading you towards the back of the bar, and in particular to, well, quite an interesting looking person in that fact. It's actually quite funny that these two guys, they're as, built like brick shit houses, but they barely come up to your midriff, essentially, because the dwarves be like that. The person that they work for, though, is, a good few heads taller than you, and almost reminds you of a certain King Pratt. And perhaps more so than that, the reason that they remind you of that is the fact that they are also a forest folk, a beastman of sorts. But unlike Pratt, their fur coat is a caramel brown, their hair is cut short and almost punk-like between their ears, and they're rather large and long and curled horns. And they are in the midst of drinking a Deccio beverage as... they see you at the corner of their eye. Sitting in a booth, they basically pat to, say, sit on the other side.
Well, yeah, Pontiac sort of saunters over, just tips her hat. Howdy, stranger. And, sits down, casually kicks her legs up.
He clicks to his dwarves and basically makes a point of watch as the two dwarves basically almost like you've gone on a teacup ride and the little metal bars have gone in place to make sure you don't get out of there. Yeah, they're doing that in the booth.
Okay.
As this beastman finishes his drink, puts the bottle on the table and pushes it in the middle of sorts, as he then leans in and smiles at you and he goes, Pontiac Lestrade. Why, aren't you a person whose name carries a lot of weight?
I choose to take that as a compliment.
Very much so. Believe me, a job of this magnitude, I would only trust it with only the best.
Came to the right place, then.
Wonderful. So, this is going to be it could be a quick job or it could be a long job. It depends how, it depends how detailed you are about these things. But let me ask you something. You're quite fleet-fingered, aren't you? You're, very much your deal is you go into places of old ancient temples and break out with whatever's valuable, whether that's monetary value or historical value, correct?
Or sentimental.
Well, let me ask you this. How good are you at, say, breaking into one of these old ancient places and, rather than stealing something, placing something?
Well, now that's a peculiar proposition. Don't know anyone's ever requested that before.
Well, let me be the first in that case, because let's say that there is a particular place of power, a ancient institution that I know that you have some familiarity with based on a recent job, and, it would be very beneficial to me and the people that I know that you work your way in and rather than taking history out, you put a little bit of history in.
And, Pontiac's kind of thinking it over, has a ponderous look upon her face, slowly nodding her head.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this strikes my curiosity, I admit to say.
Well, curiosity does have the unfortunate point of killing cats, but I am not interested in such things. I'd rather,
Yeah, I do know that to be true, unfortunately.
And he nods up and down as he just kind of like licks his fingers and plays with the little neat beard at the end of his chinny chin, and he goes, "So what's it gonna be then, Pontiac? What promises do I need to make to you that you are interested in the job at hand?"
Well, profit's always a, motivator first and foremost. I do have a crew that needs to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this job we're meant to be placing something historical like. How historical we talking?
Oh, nothing of too much reputation. Let's just say that this particular place of power, this ancient institution, there's already quite a lot of discussion regarding what ownership is really, who should really be in charge of the place. And as you are probably well aware about this continent that we are on, the actual details of true ownership and who is really in charge of old ancient institutions is very fallible. Mostly is down to old-fashioned storytelling, because stone and, old ancient tablets are very hard to come by. And as he says this, he puts one large hand next to where he is sitting and reveals almost kind of looks like a big very thick leather briefcase, and puts it on the table and taps on top of it. Mm-hmm. Now, for the interest of this job, you don't have to open this briefcase, and in fact, I would much prefer if you didn't, because, believe me, if you have any means of sniffing out magic or any other unsightly things, this won't kick off any of it. This is as trustworthy as anything, really, and, that's the best thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And as he pushes the thing across the table towards you, this is what I need you to place in Trottleara Castle.
Oh, I had an inkling it had to do with that job. Not just on account of your, bestial personage and antler situation, I should say. But, have been getting a fair bit of interest on that job.
He grins stupidly and he goes, "What? Just because I'm another beast man, you think I'm related to King Pratt?"
Nope.
Nope! I'm not a racist, I wouldn't say such a thing. He is just kind of grinning stupidly at that, and he goes, "Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it." And, yes, money, if it is money you're after, let me tell you, you will be very well compensated for this job. So, of course, that will be dependent on, obviously, that you're not caught in any of this, because I know that you are quite used to breaking into old places where maybe the traps have worn away and all that sort of stuff, and this may be a pretty old place itself, but, they do have a lot of new tricks up their sleeves as well. So, are
Standard
you the
cemetery night job.
He grins as you kind of say that. Certainly very confident then. So you are the right woman for the job then, Pontiac.
If you need some archaeology done under the cover of darkness and without prying eyes or guards or night watchmen getting in the way, I'm your gal.
Fantastic. He does put a hand out to shake and smiles and he goes, "What is my name?"
I'm trying not to say Heisenberg. I'm trying very hard.
Jesse, put the explosive in the house. You can call him Heisenberg if you want. That's a nice name with dread to it. And Question's show has had plenty of pop cultural references that are anachronistic to the setting. For example, one character was called John Boyega, and the end of Snake's session was nothing but Metal Gear Solid 5 puns. So.
There's also what was the Die Hard pun?
Oh, yeah, Hard to Die.
Hard to Die.
Spruce Willis.
Yeah. Spruce Willis, that was... Yeah, I love Spruce Willis.
Man, Spruce Willis will have to come back in season 3, and maybe, hey, if you're listening out there, one of you play Spruce Willis, please. I'll give you a really good adventure if you do. Is this man's name Heisenberg?
I think we're gonna go with that. Yeah, that sounds fun.
My name, then, is Heisenberg, and throughout this work and whatever happens afterwards, that is how you will refer to me.
Can do. Understand anyone looking for more discretionary identity protection scenarios.
Okay. Shaky. Do you shake on that giant hand that he puts out?
Yeah,
then, yeah.
Spits on her hand first for the good old.
He does kind of wince a tiny bit at it, but nature of the beast, as he. Actually, no. You spit in your hand, and he winces a little bit, and then just kind of as a cheeky thing, he just spits in his hand as well, and shaky shake. Nice.
Glad he's not a coward.
No. I was actually debating whether he was going to be even more hardcore and like he was going to like cut his hand open and do like a blood bond, but no, he ain't doing that. Not for, not today. Perhaps at another time. But he looks over at his two dwarves then, and he just kind of makes a little head nod of business is concluded as he clasps his hands together and looks at you, Pontiac, and he says, "When the job is done, you can return here to Jogathon and let the bar patron know that you want to speak to Heisenberg, and, we will conclude business from there." As he reaches to the other side of where he's sitting, not where he brought the thing from, and produces a giant brown sack with gold coins in it. This bag has a dollar sign on it, the money that they use in Trottleara, so that money will be good there if you want to spend it.
Nice. Yeah,
as he,
those same dollar signs sort of spin in Pontiac's eyes at the sight of it.
Jackpot, yeah. As he stands up and what basically dusts down the fancy jacket that he is wearing, and he says, "The sooner the better, of course, Pontiac, and if this does go south, or perhaps you may get a change of heart, I will know, okay?"
I'll keep that in mind.
Okie dokie, no problem. He's just doing like big okay signs at him as he and his little henchmen leave the bar. And I guess before we leave this scene, I will ask you, do you dare take a peek of what is inside that case, or would you rather listen to the instructions that he has given you and, well, go on with the job at hand?
Well, he said, probably better not to. Like, just it was advice that, I wouldn't look in there if I were you type of thing, probably better. It wasn't a hard rule. It wasn't a hard, So, Pontiac's never been one to not take risks. She's, if she wasn't interested in going where she was preferred not, she wouldn't be in this line of work. So, yes, I believe she will take a peek.
Okay. You, in that case, then roll 2d6.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. What did he get?
Snake eyes.
Wow. The snaker is looking at that, looking at that case and then looking at you, and he shakes his head back and forth, thinking that's a bad idea. But no, you flip up the old-fashioned latches on this case as you flip it up, and there is nothing inside that case.
Well, it's better than an explosive device.
I should say so.
Still, not one to question.
No, absolutely
not. An empty suitcase will be placed if that's what the client wishes to be placed.
And as almost in a little bit of cinematic visualization, we see Pontiac and her three little friends looking into this empty case, and we close the scene as the case closes and the latches lock. Of course, it's just a hunch, Duncan, but I mean, you know what I mean, right? It's, like this drink has kind of shown me, there's maybe a bit more out there than maybe the naked eye can see, right?
Oh, exactly. When you're looking for answers, you gotta start somewhere. You won't get them all at once. You'll get little hints and you'll have time to work them out.
Yeah, I'm hoping I got nothing but time. I'm still young, and I'd like to think so is the Kingdom of Trottleara, even if, certain people are saying that, maybe the place isn't really what it should be, but I'd like to think that even if I'm not on the throne or whatever, I could try and do something to fix it, but I don't know. He does finish the drink, though, and he kind of looks at it and he goes, well, I don't know. I still feel like maybe there's another drink or two in me. You got anything else, Duncan?
Sure. Let's try something a little bit different. I know. Let's try something from somewhere nearby-ish. And he grabs a bottle of a cloudy white liquid. He fills a glass with ice, and he pours out a bottle of Athos.
Oh, very exciting. Pratt holds that up by his fingers and holds it all and he goes, hey, I kind of recognise this.
Well, it's an Annecy drink. It's quite sweet. Hope you like licorice.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm from the forest, so I can't get enough of it. Is this he gives it a sniff and goes, I had something like this recently, actually. It's a Deccio drink, right?
This is a Deccio drink. This one is this one's a bit different. This is from Deccio, but this one's got some magic works going on it.
Got some magic in it? What kind of magic?
I misplaced it. That should have been somewhere else. It doesn't matter. You'll drink it and you'll see.
He nods and then
this one's not quite as potent as the last one, so don't expect it to be blowing your head off or anything, but
no, that's alright. I'd rather have my head on my neck for a little bit longer, so, and yeah, he just starts sipping it, I guess.
So, it's compared probably to the last, well, let's just be what it is, it's Ouzo, compared to the last Ouzo that he had. This one is it's still sweet, but it's a lot sharper, like the licorice is almost sort of cloying, but as it goes on, it does change. As the ice evaporates into it, it starts to take on, essentially, you can taste two things at once.
Interesting.
The first flavor remains as the kind of ouzo, a bit softened. The second is your favorite drink, and it's not like they're fighting each other for dominance. It's like they coexist.
Perhaps his stupid cow like he is just starts to lift up a little bit as he's kind of looking at the drink as he's sipping back, and he goes, "Whoa! Where's this thing been all my life?"
What do you taste in it besides the ouzo? What else is in the Athos?
Yianni DeVito, we find you back at Nikki's Bar and Grill. Another afternoon turning into evening, which I will say business has been a little bit slow recently. Nothing to do with you, unfortunately. I would actually say that so your little event the other couple of weeks ago, where old Susie proposed to Pratt, did get quite a lot of attention on you, and quite a lot of people had gone there to, oh wow, this is where the royal couple proposed to one another, and even more couples went to this place as well. But that unfortunately led to a bit of a disaster then in recent time, which was what that date that eventually led to that wedding ended in a bit of tragedy, not just in the fact that poor Pratt and Susie didn't quite get the day that they wanted and it had to be cancelled, but the attack did actually lead to, for the first time in about 800 years, blood being spilt in Trottleara. So, tension is high, and, you know, a lot of people are feeling a bit awkward about the whole thing. And unlike maybe the bars, well, actually, you know, I would say as half of your business being, you know, half of it is a grill, but the other half being a bar.
Is a bar, yeah.
You are still getting people going there, you know, and drinking away their sorrows. And I will say, actually, you have been, as already stated, you are a magnate to the people of Deccio who, you know, work in Trottleara. But their numbers have been slowly wrapping up since the attack. And the scene as it is currently, Yianni, is that you are working front of house. You might have Scrappers in the back, actually. He's doing, he's cleaning, as you have told him. And two Deccio police officers who are in the front, the same Deccio police officers who were there the night before Susie and Pratt's date. They are finishing up drinking black coffees, but they get your attention. They want to chat to you about something.
Yeah, sure. I go over them. I go over to them. Do I know, by the way, what exactly transpired at this wedding? I know you said blood spilt, but like,
Tell you what, roll 2d6.
Okay. 7, 8.
You got an 8. Okay.
Yeah.
You know just a tiny bit more than what other people do. And here's the extra information that I'll give you, which is blood was spilt at the event, and all you know is that it is the blood of a noble elf called Ryland Dor. And the people who were responsible for doing so were recently unrevealed spider people, which...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a... nobody really knew that they existed until that time, and the fact that they had made their appearance in such a violent manner has basically got people talking about a potential war between Trottleara and the Spider People. King Pratt hasn't come out and said what he wants to do about it, and there is a lot of pressure building, mostly from a lot of pundits in Trottleara. In particular, Zapiro and Ro Bartholomew are mostly stoking the fires of, warfare, essentially. The extra detail that you know is that also during this event, not only did the Spider People reveal themselves, but a rat person revealed themselves. Not Scrappers, however, but Scrappers does know who that person is, and they kind of want to talk to you about that when you have a opportunity as well.
Okay, I see. Okay, cool. I guess I go talk to these cops.
Hey, so how's business doing for you then, Yianni? Yeah, gotta say, it's a bit of a ghost town in here, ain't it?
Not many people come in. What I gonna do, you know?
No, not much any of us can do, not with the talk of war and all that stuff, which kind of leads us to, why you're over here. I'm afraid you're not going to be seeing much of our faces anymore, Yianni.
You are leaving?
His friend nods as the other one continues. Yeah. So, as you may have been aware, we were in Trottleara for the past couple of weeks looking up the death of Vito Staccato, which, we believe might have had some link to the people of Trottleara, but let's just say that our higher-ups have decided that, our attention could be placed elsewhere. Trottleara has its own problems to deal with outside of this assassination that happened, so, yeah, as much as we've enjoyed eating and drinking here, Yianni, not gonna be here every day from now on.
Oof. I guess, as far as, Yianni's concerned, he doesn't care too much about these guys, but he cares about 2 regular customers that he's losing, so he's kind of just, he's probably not thinking too much about the politics of this, but he's thinking like, God damn it,
Sure.
I have to like, how am I going to figure out like, I'm losing regular customers. This is awful.
Uh-huh. I will say as well, obviously you spoke to Susie's uncle, Gordon,
Yeah.
the night before, who did basically promise you that if they got married, then you would be, franchising would be happening.
Mm-hmm.
You have not seen him since that time, and obviously knowing how the wedding went, that's still kind of up in the air. So I imagine there is a little bit of tension regarding the future of Nikki's Bar and Grill.
Oh, no.
But these two guys, they finish their coffees, and like the guy who was chatting to you, he stands up and he puts his hand out to shake, and he said, "It's always been a pleasure coming here, Yianni, and let me tell you, if I'm ever back in Trottleara, this will be the first place I go to, alright?"
Absolutely. I will wait for you. You come anytime. I will have seat for you.
He nods, and what's a traditional Deccio kind of like greeting or leaving sort of thing outside of a handshake?
I guess it'd probably be like a little bit of like a little handshake, and then as they're like leaving, I guess just like a little bit of a nod, maybe like a little hat raise or something like that. Like
Cool.
like just like an understanding nod or something.
And as they head towards the door, they do that to you. Unfortunately, leaving the restaurant now completely empty, apart from you and Scrappers in the kitchen.
Oof. All right. I guess. Is it like it's evening? You said.
Yeah, it's afternoon now, turning into sort of early evening.
Okay, so am I like waiting for the dinner rush, or am I getting the sensation like nobody's really gonna be coming around?
That's sort of the feeling that you're currently getting.
I guess Yianni at this point would probably just do like classic restaurateur move, which is just like sit there at his restaurant in case anybody shows up, but just like he's doing like whatever other work he has, like he's doing his like office stuff, his logistics stuff. He's got like papers and pens. He's like sitting in a little booth in the back under the light with like these big glasses, like just filling out paperwork or who knows what.
That makes sense. And as you are doing your paperwork, a familiar fuzzy face does point around, being your newest rat employee, Scrappers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we? Have you got a minute? Can I talk to you?
Scrappers, for sure. What do you need?
Scrappers, for sure. He comes in and he like sits down, and he's kind of like doing the thing where he's licking his fingers and fixing his face for kind of like nervously, and he goes, so you know about the thing that happened at the wedding, right? When the rat appeared, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hear about this.
He's just kind of nervous and playing with his tail, and he goes, "Well, I mean, that wasn't me, of course, because I was working with you that day. That was actually,
yes. You have alibi. Don't worry."
No, I know, but that was my cousin Nibbles, and he's just kind of like looking awkwardly, just like his head's darting all over the place. But basically, though, the thing about us rat people is that we kind of like to keep a bit of a low profile. Well, at least some of us do, like to keep a low profile and not like draw too much attention to ourselves. But with all the things that have happened recently, some people, they wanted to basically show us off to the whole world. And let's just say that my family ain't too happy about that, and they kind of want us to leave Trottleara.
Oh no! Oh no!
But that's the thing, and he's playing with the tail, and he's looking at you, and he goes, but the thing is, Yianni, I don't want to go anywhere, because you gave me this job, and I've learned so much from you, and I don't know, I want to make good on you, Yianni. I want to go to college just like you said I would, but I mean, I'm worried. I mean, I don't have family here no more, Yianni. What would I do? Where could I go? Who could I stay with?
Do I know like where he's staying now? Is he like currently staying with his rat family when he's not working at the restaurant?
When he's not at the restaurant, he basically tells you that he goes back into the sewer, essentially, where the rest of his family are.
Mm-hmm. I think. Oof. I like this a lot. I think the the experience of like understanding that things are really bad for your people and that you need to like leave them, and like that struggle is very, very relatable to Yianni, and he sees him. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and I think maybe he sees a little bit of himself in Scrappers at this moment, but I think he's basically considering that like Scrappers shouldn't like if Scrappers wants to stay here, he shouldn't have to worry about anything. And Yianni's, I guess he'd probably offer him a place to stay. Like Scrappers, if you need some place to live, I will arrange this. Listen, you have been nothing but a good boy to work with me, and whatever we can do to make arrangement, I will figure out.
You sure, Yianni? Because I can't help but think, I don't want to be another hungry mouth to feed and all, especially with business as it is.
Scrappers, listen, I know already what you skim from the top of the food in the back. Listen, it's no problem for me. Like, I'm sure he's eating in the back and it's like cool. But yeah, no, I think like Yianni's totally I think like Yianni's probably thought about this before. Because obviously there's not a lot of rat people, so he's thought like that he's had to maybe be a little bit responsible for Scrappers if he really wants to give him the opportunity he hopes he gets. So yeah, no, like Yianni's already thought about this happening one day, and he's 100% down.
So kind of he's just looking at you with just his big eyes, and he says,
so you're saying that I don't have to go, Yianni? I can stay here?
Absolutely, Scrappers, do not worry.
Oh, he very like just kind of like in a big rat-like motion. He sort of like dives forward and then like in front of you into a big old fluffy hug, essentially. Oh. Don't know who's fluffier though, you or Yianni's a hairy guy, so not sure. But yeah, he's just kind of cuddling against him. He says, "Oh yeah, I'll make you proud, Yianni. Okay, I'm gonna be the first red person in the whole of Trottleara who's gonna make something for himself. I'm gonna go to college, and I don't know if they got courses on plate washing. I'm gonna become a master in it. I'll show you. All right."
I believe in you, Scrapper. I always believe in you. From the day I meet you, I believe in you.
As you say that, ching ching, the bell of the door to the restaurant has activated.
Ah, okay. Do I see anyone coming through the door?
I assumed you were in the back room.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, but Scrappers looks at it nervously because he's still kind of like, shit, I'm a rat person, what do I do?
Oh, okay. I guess I just like signal to him to stay there and I go check.
Okay. You go back to the restaurant and the open floor, and you haven't just got one customer, you've got quite a few customers who have let themselves in.
Okay.
Two of them you recognise as King Pratt Hemlock and Susie Toblerone.
Oh, yes.
Joining...
Yeah,
actually,
sorry.
you might recognise a couple of the other people that they are with as well. One of them is her uncle, Gordon, who has something basically around his... he's got like a giant neck brace on at the moment because he got attacked during the wedding.
Okay.
With Pratt are his parents, who of course you would recognise because they used to be the king and queen, and they're just kind of like keeping back a little bit. And they are also joined by another person who looks like Pratt. And then with them is somebody that you've never really seen before, but you could sort of like maybe put two and two together. It is a satyr, as in, he looks like basically somebody who would be half Pratt and whatever Pratt species is and half human. And as you kind of, as you sort of head into the restaurant, like Susie just kind of lights up and she's like, yeah, that's him, that's the guy. As the satyr just kind of slides up to you, puts his hands out and like clasps it around your hand in a kind of an awkward shake, and is like, "There's the guy I want to talk to. You're the guy who's gonna save this whole thing."
Listen, before anything of this, maybe you have something to order. I will take a seat, please. But what are you talking about?
Yeah, we got plenty to order, big boy. Hey, listen,
This guy, he basically hits his hoofs against the floor. This is on Trottleara ground, ain't it? It ain't technically it's Deccio, but we are still technically in the city limits, right?
Yes. I mean, I I make food of a different culture. It does not mean this restaurant is a different country. This is how restaurants work. But yes, this is Trottleara.
Works for me. He looks at the king and Susie. Then he goes, right, you two get into places. Then he looks back at you, puts his hand out again, and he goes, oh, by the way, my name's Leo Sader. I'm going to be the priest at this event.
Oh, what exactly is happening?
He like points to the king and queen, to the old king and queen, and to Gordon, and basically tells them to take seats. And then he looks back at you and he goes, "Well, as you're probably aware, that wedding that we had at the center of town didn't go too well. So we thought, well, no point putting it off any longer. Why not just do a nice little private small event? But basically Forest Folk custom is we still got to do it on the grounds of, their little kingdom, which, hey, your place does fall into. Oh, by the way, I hope you don't mind." He pulls up a big bag. "I got some grass clippings in here. I gotta just kind of spread them along the floor. It's tradition, you understand, right?"
I understand. I do mind, but I I understand. Okay, I don't ask questions. Honestly, I could use the business.
He slaps you on the shoulder then, and he just starts putting a big handful into this bag, and just throwing grass all over the floor of your restaurant. He's just he's just looking back at you, and he goes, I asked the guys, I was like, if there's some kind of special place which, assuming you can't get married where you really want to, what's somewhere which means a lot to you. And, well, your place was the first one they said, considering this was where the proposal happened.
Oh, that means a lot to me. That it means a lot to them. And I think now he's because there's something he wants to say to this guy, but he waited until he started throwing grass all over his restaurant just so that
sure.
He so far Yianni is morally on the high ground, and he just I think Yianni goes up to him and he's like, "Listen, just so you know though, because I know what happened at the wedding, but I have a rat friend who worked for me in the back, and actually what he told to me is he is related to the rat who come to the wedding. So I hope this is no problem for anybody."
Well, I mean, I'm not the guy to ask about that, buddy. I'm just a priest. But if you want, I can relay the message to the big guy over there.
Oh, yes.
Over at Pratt.
Please, just to make sure everything is safe.
Yeah, he nods up and down, and hey, well, if he's here, why not get him out? It'd be nice to get some more, eyes officiating the event.
Am I so I think Yianni is maybe just a little bit worried that if he brings scrappers out, someone might freak out and attack him or something because of what happened at this wedding. Or do I feel safe about this?
I'm going to leave that decision to you, essentially. How do you feel about what do you... Yeah, what is Yianni kind of... Yeah, because obviously, this guy seems to be kind of lackadaisical. But, yeah, Rat did turn up at the event, which,
I think it would, especially just what I just talked with Scrappers about, I think it would be good. It would be really, really cool note for him to, see this wedding. So, yeah, I think I'm going to pull him out, but I'm going to just make sure everybody's super, super cool.
Okay, so, yeah... I guess you just kind of relay that information then to the satyr, and he nods at you, and he just goes over and he tells everybody else what is happening then. So I guess you go and grab Scrappers from the back room then, yeah?
Yeah, and I think I as I grab Scrappers, I'm like, "Scrapper, listen, something amazing is happening, and I think, given the situation, it's time for me to put a little bit more trust in you. I think for tonight, if you want to, you can try for your first time to be waiter." And I want to give waiting duty to him.
Do you hand him a white apron or something?
Yeah, I give him this white apron. I slowly put it around his neck and it drapes over him.
Tie it behind him to officiate all of it. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, he's his toes are tingling. He's his tail is going in all directions. He doesn't know how to eat. Yeah, he's just very excited by all this.
Oh, this is so great.
as you return, and this the windows, the actually no, actually I'll leave that in your decision. Would you draw the curtains, or are you going to leave them open?
Well, he did say that he wanted it to be private, so I think just on that I would, but also he's thrown grass all over the place, and I don't want anyone to see grass just all over the floor. So
I think that's fair enough. So you do your duty, and you go and draw the curtains. Then, as the ceremony very, very quick and to the point one is, the satyr asks the usual questions of, through sickness and through health, to have and to hold, and all that sort of stuff. And those two big idiots who, were here so many weeks ago, not quite sure what to say to themselves, still aren't really sure either now. Big old tears in their eyes is the happiest day of their, potentially the happiest day of their life is going, seems to be going a lot more swimmingly than it did last time, even if it is maybe on a bit of a smaller scale. But, so I guess what I will ask is kind of as a waiter, what do you want to, what is the usual Deccio customs for a wedding? What happens next?
Well, I'm guessing, like, on short notice, there's not much that they can do.
Sure.
I mean, he's probably just trying to, like, whip up some food really quick, but maybe he's also trying to see if he can get, like, some musicians or someone to come just to, like, play some music and go a little bit crazy. He's probably also, like, bringing out, like, the smashable plates, like, ready for some crazy stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like, just, like, prepping, like, I don't know, like a 4-course meal or something, but also making sure there's, like, there's a good atmosphere while he's cooking.
Okay, so like you just kind of say, is anybody a good? So the ceremony just kind of ends in the usual, seal your vows, lock lips, and go from there. And of course, there's a nice big round of applause from that. But then you just kind of come out and you go, we need to do this the Deccio style-y. So the satyr, fortunately, has got a bit of musical blood in him, and obviously, being a Deccio style restaurant, there is a mandarin. Mandarin is the name of the. Yeah, is it a mandolin? The instrument, the stringed instrument.
I think. Are you thinking of a bouzouki?
Is that what the traditional Greek instrument is? A bouzouki?
Yeah. I'll just like toss the satyr a bouzouki, and I'm sure he knows how to play it.
Oh, of course, he knows how to play any stringed instrument, so he just starts playing a traditional traditional forest folk song. Essentially, is him and the other and the Pratts, their little hooves hitting the floor in jaunty dancing, and then to Susie, you just kind of hand out like breakable plates to her and just say, this
go
is
for
what
it.
we do, right? And she just hands one to Pratt. Pratt's not sure, and she's just like smash against the floor, and with a lot of strength in his arm, that thing goes and just completely atomizes as it hits the floor, and his parents and Gordon, they're all cheering and clapping at this as festivities are picking up quite nicely, and they don't even seem too bothered about old scrappers handing out bits of food and wine and all that sort of stuff.
Are they able to drink? Is Pratt able to drink now, or is he still abstaining?
Pratt's parents will drink. Pratt is still you make grape juice for Pratt, I guess.
Got it.
Is the thing. Yeah. You do notice that there is a little bit of activity. You hear activity happening outside the restaurant, though.
Oh no. Are there did they bring any bodyguards with them? Is it just I have to deal with this?
It's just it is literally just it is just the royal family and Susie's uncle who are here currently.
Okay, I guess I go take a peek to see what's happening outside.
There is, through the curtains, you do see that there is a crowd of people of Trottleara who are trying to figure out what is going on through the curtains.
Oh, okay. I guess, well, I mean, it's not my wedding, so they asked me to make it discreet, so I clock that and I just kind of let it go. I keep the curtains closed.
You're going to keep the curtains closed then?
Yeah.
And I will say with that then, festivities go on quite into the night. Quite a lot of vino is spilt.
quite a lot of food is eaten. And I would say, for the most part, even if the people of Trottleara weren't quite aware of what was going on behind those curtains, I think Nicky's Bar and Grill will be sticking around for some time.
That is very good news.
That's good news, because I got Nick. Yianni, he's got rent to pay, so oh boy.
And he's got a kid to push through college.
That's true. Yeah, he's got to put Scrappers through college as well now. So yeah, all right. It's kind of stupid to say, but that's what I was drinking the night that I saw that me and Susie kind of we proposed to one another, and it's just like that evening. It's just taking me right back to it.
Oh well, how about that then? And Duncan reaches beneath the bar and he grabs a bottle of that ouzo and he presents it. Here, consider that a wedding gift from me.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, what if other people?
No. It's my pleasure. We can look how packed this place is. It'll cut. Look, I'll put my gold in the till, and he does. There we go. That's on me. Bar ain't losing nothing.
He just kind of looks at it and goes, all right. I mean, it's kind of weird taking gifts and all at a bar of all things. I mean, if anything, I should be the guy giving out gifts. But well, thanks very much, Duncan.
No problem. You done. After what happened, my family's future, our place in Trottleara, our business, all but assured. My kids are all free to do as they wish, knowing that Trottleara Tipple will go on fine, and I've got less time behind bar than I'd like with all the business I've had to be tending to, but the rest of the place is in good hands, and I'll eventually, he kind of knocks on the bar. I'll eventually be able to do this as much as I like, just once all the heavy lifting's out the way. And I trust Trottleara will be around long enough for me to enjoy that. I don't think I have anything to worry about.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Family and stuff, and putting down our roots. Even though I am the king of Trottleara and all, I like to think that now that Susie's involved, that's kind of, that's opening a whole new era of our family as well. Really, I should, next time you're here, I should really bring her with me. I mean, I think it'd be lovely if she could actually meet you. The guy who saved my mom and dad. But she's got she wanted to do something else this evening. She had some people to see apparently. Prose Ethlina. It has been a couple of months since you ventured into the city of Trottleara, and considering how that went and the fact that it was a bit of a messy job, you have kind of kept your head down for the most part, having tried to return to the city for if any jobs have come up that have asked you to return to Trottleara, you have pretty much turned them down, because obviously you did leave a tiny bit of a mark there last time you did.
Maybe a little.
A tiny bit. You did. They wrote. They did write a very nice newspaper article about you. But other than that, so for the most part, it has been kind of quiet from there, really. But you're still working for the most part, and I guess I will ask you this: what kind of jobs have you been going after, and what kind of stuff have you been getting into?
General thieving, robbing the rich, giving to myself, things like that.
Of course. Still taking regular jobs from people who are saying, hey, I'm in need of a thief. Maybe a thief is good at fighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that is good to hear, because, Prose, you have just nearly finished a job this grand evening. Big old full moon in the sky, barely a cloud, as you find yourself returning from a house of sorts, owned by a man called Baron Curtis Vogler, who you were requested to break into there and steal a set of fine silverware. Now, why somebody would need fine silverware from a baron of all things, I have absolutely no idea. But considering the details that you were given about the job, which is that, well, should be easy because he's very rarely there, and this silverware has some family value that the Voglers don't really appreciate, it was very important for this person to get them back. And the pay was very good on this as well. What I will say, though, is, do you want to roll 2d6, and I'll give you a +1 to see if there is any... see how it went, kind of in the background.
All right, so that's just rolling 2d6. And remind me, is it my total or is it the highest?
It is total.
Total. Okay, so that's a 7, and then +1 is 8.
Excellent. So, very much it did go off without too many complications. Now, the Baron, he is, a man of wealth, so he can afford some security measures. And although you didn't trigger any of them, there was a tiny bit of evidence left at the scene that perhaps not you, but somebody had maybe broken into the premises and done this. But I wouldn't worry about that too much, because, as said, you were working for someone. Someone requested this, so potentially the heat can be put on them. Now, the only thing is that the person that you were told that you were working for, you were given this job through a second party, essentially. The person that you were working for is an orc who has called themselves Robleton. Only a surname. You didn't get anything more than that, but you have been told that you will be meeting them this evening. Where you are meeting them is in a bar in between Trottleara and Jogathon. Patches Bar. Prose, is this a bar that you have ever been to?
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
Okay, so you know the owner, Patches, that is his name. Not his real name, of course, not the name that he was, born with, but it is the name that he has been given since because he does wear an eye patch. That's how clever the people are in this world, is that they name people stuff like that. But he is a friendly enough guy, an ex-fighter as well, so if things do go south, he has got your back. And as you head your way into Patch's Bar, it is a rowdy evening. Perhaps a rowdier evening than you have seen in some time. Something has got these people drinking, and, you haven't been in the kingdom for a while, so that might be, could be anything. It could be good news, it could be bad news. Who is to say? But you were told by Patches that in the back room, the person that you want to meet is there. But of course, being a role-playing game, you can do whatever you want, so... What would you like
I'll get a drink, and then I'll head back.
Alrighty. You head to the bar then. And you have a look, and they do have beers on draft, but they also have various bottles along the middle and along the top row. This is, because it's not based in Trottleara, they have brought... So the Mondays was what they used to drink all the time when magic was banned, but now that the magic ban has been softened, the magic drinks are back on the menu as well.
I'll just get a pint and I'll take it with me into the back room.
Fantastic. Not Patches himself, but somebody who does recognise you, does pour one up to the top and hands it over to you in exchange for small coin.
Yeah, I give him a couple and then I go.
Excellent stuff, and you head your way into the back room. Now, the back room in Patch's Bar, not a lot of them, so whoever has got this booked out, you're probably not going to be in there for very long. But as you head into one of them, there is only one person in there. Now, you were told that this person is an orc, and this person certainly has the dimensions and size of an orc. However, they are covered by... They have a hood up, they have sort of baggy looking and unassuming clothes, and you can't get a very good read on how they look. But basically, the moment that you let yourself in with this pint, like nothing, like, just casual Anne, this person does perk up a little bit and then just tries to straighten themselves up as, oh good, you're here. Could you close the door behind you, please?
Before I do that, I want to... So, Prose's bells are ringing and is like, no,
So this seems sus. Okay.
this is a little suspicious.
Okay.
So I want to try and I can't remember the character's name, but me Nevyn, the role player, thinks that this is the prince.
Interesting.
Or the prince's girlfriend. Because those are the only two characters that I know.
Okay.
The only two large characters.
The only
that
two
I
large
know.
characters that you know.
So I do want to try and suss out the situation. I want to assess what's going on. Can I make a little roll for that?
Sure. You don't have anything for intuition, but you did meet the prince and his girlfriend once before. So I can say roll 2d6 and I'll give you a +1.
All right. That's going to be a 10.
Fantastic. Yeah, you're pretty keen, Prose, and well, for the first thing, that's not their real voice. That they're trying to artificially deepen it themselves. They've tried to cover themselves in as much baggy clothing as they can, but you can see kind of big black wavy hair sticking out over the out of the hood. And yeah, the dimensions very much fit. The prince's girlfriend that you were speaking to so many months ago. Yes, that is Susie.
Okay. Yeah, I'll close the door. I'll take like 3 steps in, and I'll go, "Hey, Susie, how you doing?"
She kind of like freezes up a little bit, and then takes her hood off, and she goes, "I wasn't that obvious, was I?"
No, not at all. Okay. I'm just very clever.
Oh yeah, no, of course you are. I think absolutely. As she's kind of like getting excited again, and she's just kind of looking around to make sure that nobody does come through the door, and she tries to keep quiet. She's like, "Bro, you have no idea how long I've been trying to see you again."
Oh, me?
Yeah, she nods up and down like really excitedly. And she goes, "Yeah." Actually, roll 1d6.
Just 1d6?
Just 1d6.
Okay. 1.
Oh, that's actually not bad, because she kind of looks back and forth and she goes, "You see, because I wasn't quite sure how to get hold of you, because I know that you were never going to come back to Trottleara considering what happened and all, and, well, I knew that you were a thief, so, you know, my family does have some connections to people who, you know, do jobs like that, so I thought, hey, why not take a chance, put a job out there and see if, you know, somebody would take it, and, well, I guess I got lucky, because you're the first person who took the job, and, yeah, it's you, Prose."
It is me. What, and Prose is kind of like looking a little, a little nervous, a little on the back foot.
She just kind of puts her hands up. She's like, no, you're not in trouble or anything like that. That's the whole reason I wanted to do this secretly, because, well, it's actually kind of funny. A lot of stuff has happened in Trottleara recently, and even the prince managed to find, King Pratt did even manage to find somebody that he thought was you, but it turned out it was a completely different, it was a full tabaxi, not even a half tabaxi like you, so, yeah, no, things are not great at the moment. Not with us, though. No, things are going really good with us, but just in general in Trottleara. But I just wanted to tell you that if you ever want to go back there, don't worry about, you know, having your name on posters or anything. No, that's all fine now.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you and you said King. Congrats, I guess. I'm glad that you and him are great, and thanks for coming to see me. Good to see you. Here's your silverware. Pay me.
Oh, of course. As she kind of like roots around and she produces a giant bag with gold coins on it. This bag has a $sign on it, which, as people who know with questions show, the US dollar is the denomination that they use in the Kingdom of Trottleara. Of course, bad news for you means that you'll have to maybe get it traded with someone else if you want to spend it elsewhere. But she's just kind of giggly and she's like, "Good thing I didn't have to do this a few times though, because I had to put my hand in the royal treasury for that. But it's okay. I know Baron Vogler. I'm going to return that silverware to him before he even even knows it.
Prose just like closes her eyes like she's getting a headache. Just like okay. And then like does the swap, takes the big bag, puts it in the backpack. Not even gonna worry about counting it. I'm sure this is like far more than I was supposed to be paid for such an easy job.
Oh yeah, no. You thought the job was suspicious considering how much money it was, but
yeah,
payday's a payday, you know. But
yeah, gotta have money.
But yeah, no. She is excited to see you, Susie, and she even. Well, she kind of wants to get up, and I think she wants to maybe give you a hug or something, but she's not really sure what to do because, like, you are a thief, you are I don't know, you got some repute to you. That might be a bit awkward.
So I see that she's like wanting to go for a hug, and I'll just like spread my arms and be like, "Come on, bring it in, let's go." Okay, yeah, and she does cuddle against you, and she's just very smiling. She's like, "Well, it's not only him being king, which is good news." As she shows on her hand a pretty big ass ring. Ah, I had a hunch. She
is nodding, and she's like, "And we were meant to have this wonderful wedding ceremony, but the whole thing got." Oh, it went horribly wrong. Prose, some spiders or something turned up and tried to take hostage, and then they killed an elf, and it went horribly wrong on the day.
Well, that's rough, and I'm sorry to hear that.
But it's okay because we ended up having a smaller ceremony anyways. We went to this lovely Deccio restaurant, the one where I proposed to him at, and it was nice though. It wasn't a fairy tale wedding, but it was a nice one, you know.
I've always thought that smaller weddings were better anyways.
I'm sorry I didn't invite you, but considering how things were and the fact that you wanted to keep yourself a secret, that's all fine.
Yeah, that is totally okay. If you had invited me, I probably wouldn't have come. For those reasons, you know.
She just nods up and down. She says, "I just wanted to see you again, is all. And actually, I wanted to give you a bit of news that not even Pratt knows yet."
Oh, really? And what might that be, Susie?
She pokes her belly.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, you're fat. No, And she just kind of looks like a little bit back and forth, and she just whispers in your ear, and she goes, "I haven't quite figured everything out yet, but all I'm going to say is that if it's a boy, I'm pretty sure he wants to call him Pratt Jr., but if it's a girl, I'm going to call her Prosey."
Prose just like blushes a bit and just like chugs some of the drink.
Ooh, yeah. And plus, it's alliterative, isn't it? Princess Prose. That's going to sound real good, I think. So, yeah, let's hope.
Fingers crossed, Susie.
And yeah, she just gives you a little smooch on the forehead, and she goes, "I don't know if you'll ever come back to Trottleara again, but if you do, well, my window's always going to be open for you, okay?"
You got it. And if you ever need a thief, well, I'm sure you can find me.
She nods, and before she heads to the door, she does look back and she goes, "By the way, don't mention anything about, because I did have to use a certain code name, which my brothers and my uncle usually have to use whenever they have to do criminal stuff. Don't mention that to people if that's okay. I don't want to maybe cause any, political intrigue, if that's all right."
Sure, my lips are sealed, Susie.
Okay, and just with a big giggle, she puts her hood back up and then just tries to sneak away as if nothing really happened. In fairness,
she does a bad job.
Oh no! How bad of a job does she do? Roll 2d6.
I mean, it's probably awful.
I mean, hey, if you just wanted to say,
she did a great job actually. Okay. I got an 11.
Okay,
she did fine.
She did a fantastic job. No one is any the wiser that a giant orc dressed like a thief is giggling and skipping out of the bar like nothing happened. But yeah, Prose, you are left with a big bag of gold coins. So I guess I will ask what you're gonna do with it.
What? I don't even remember what Prose's like goal was. It's been so long.
You wanted a put it towards maybe building an orphanage.
Fame and fortune to yeah. I'll probably do that.
You're gonna make a start on that, maybe. That sounds good.
I think I'll probably give some to friends, keep some for myself, and donate some to an orphanage.
Fantastic.
Oh, you know what else I'll do? I'll grease some palms to get some corrupt politicians out of office.
Oh, that'd be good as well. I can think of one potentially corrupt politician you might want to get out of office, but hey, I mean, I think she's doing it for the right reasons, you know? She used her money to hang out with you again, if even just for a little bit. As you finish your drink, though, Prose, there is a knock on the door as you're in this back room.
Quick, no, Prose feels kind of like an escort. Did I just... She just paid me a shitload of money to talk to me for 5 minutes. Ugh.
Oh, you're
all right. Okay, yeah, so there's a knock on the door.
There is a small knock on the door.
Okay, I come in.
It's one of the bartenders.
I was just on my way out.
Sticks the head around the door and says, "Oh, you're on your way out."
Yeah. This is all my business is done.
It doesn't look like it. Somebody's just turned up and is looking for a thief.
Who is it?
Don't know. It's a bit of an odd-looking guy. In all fairness, I think he's one of those trolls from up on the mountain. Don't know what the heck they would need a thief for.
Well, bring me 2 more pints and let's see what they have to say.
So Pratt's just kind of like, I don't know, he still looks like he's kind of holding his own for a little bit, and he's just kind of looking at you. It's just sort of like, I mean, I don't know, what kind of state do you think I'm in? You think I'm good for one more, or?
I think you're good for one more, but I think that one more you're gonna have is gonna be something that'll get you home.
He nods then, and he goes, well, I don't know where else I'd want to be tonight, so, alright, lay it on me.
Right. Now, Duncan reaches above the bar, reaches top shelf, and he grabs a bottle. This bottle has no label. Doesn't even look like it has anything in it. But he unscrews the top, and the sounds of pouring are indeed heard as he pours you out a glass and then drops a couple of ice cubes in it. They do float, and that's what it looks like they're doing. It looks like they're just floating.
Pratt's just kind of furrowing his brows as he looks at that.
Right, this here is a drink called Clarity. What this will do for you, now this will get you more drunk, this is a drink, but it will get you 10-20 minutes of just complete sobriety. It might make your hangover a bit worse tomorrow, but it'll clean you up so you can get home good and proper. We can't have the young king stumbling home drunk now, can't we?
He does pout his lips a little bit as he kind of looks at you, but I mean, hey, you've been his captain all night. You've been steering him safe, so why wouldn't he trust you on this one? He kind of like picks it up then and kind of gives it a sniff and he goes, well, I think if this is going to be my last drink of the night, he just kind of roots in his pocket. He has no more bags with dollar signs on them, unfortunately. He only has a few loose coins, which he pushes over. You pour something for yourself, okay? I'd like to, I'd like to toast to, I don't know, to something, I guess.
Alright, that's fine. And yeah, he reaches into a little kind of ice box, which we do have, and he grabs a bottle of the Metre.
Oh,
he grabs not known to you, but an alcohol-free thing of the Metre because he is still tending bar, but you know.
He's still on the clock, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's still on the clock. The Metre is an imported lager from Dicchio.
Oh, very nice.
It's what most people in here are probably drinking.
Goes well with grilled fish, so I hear. Yeah, no, he just kind of holds out his glass then.
Yep, he clinks his glass, takes a big sip of his alcohol-free lager.
Nice, and
takes a
get
big
now?
old sip of his drink as well, as his swaying is starting to, the oscillation of it is starting to slow down as he kind of sets up a little bit more straight. The big bags under his eyes that he had when he came in have started to kind of recede a little bit, and he's even, I don't know, he's looking less hunched over and less monstrous and just kind of a bit more together, essentially.
Now that will not keep that. You will still probably be knocked for 6 because you're not much of a drinker, but that'll buy you a little while of clarity.
He nods up and down and he just kind of leans in, just sort of looking up at you with sort of just big eyes, and he goes, Yes, yeah, kind of an open-ended question, Duncan.
Shoot.
You know why this place is called, Trottleara?
Can't say I do, actually.
He just kind of leans back a little bit and he's just sort of playing with his fingers on the bar, and he goes, it's funny because, you talk to people about it and they think that, it's such a weird name that it must have just been made up by somebody, the stupidest name they could think of for a kingdom, but, he shakes his head back and forth and he goes, that ain't it though, that ain't it at all. You see my mother, right, even, lost her memory and all that, but before that, before everything that happened, she's always been a brilliant storyteller, okay? When I was a little kid, I used to lay in bed and, think about when I'd be king and all that sort of stuff. She'd tell me all these stories that, about our people and, what we came for. And, there's not a lot of us really anymore. I mean, there's not really, apart from humans and all, there's not really a lot of anybody anymore. Everything's just kind of, our groups have got smaller and all that. And certainly the forest folk, there's barely any of us anymore, but thousands of years ago, before Trottleara, thousands of years ago, before there was ever a kingdom and ever a castle and ever the Hemlocks here, there was Trottleara. And you just hear a little clopping noise, like, underneath the bar. You have a look over and it's just him hitting his little hoofs together, and he goes, Trottleara, as in, it was an area that our kind could trottle around, as in we could live here and dance and do everything that we wanted to. And then, well, as the nature of things go, people want, land is always a useful thing to have. We had trees and water and resources and ore, and, you get some people come in who want, they want the wood and they'll start to cut it down, and then, the spiders, they'll come in because they want a food source, and then eventually the whole thing just, before the time of even Uriel Hemlock, people were just fighting over this little patch of land, and then one day, people just decided that no, Trottleara needs to stick around. People need it, alright? We need it for it's really important to everybody. And I'm not talking about the forest folk, because at this point there was barely any of us left, but the humans and the elves and the half elves and the orcs and the gnolls and the wargs and the tabaxi, and all the races came together and they fought for something that they believed in, not for some kind of supremacy or some kind of, stake at something, but for the belief that this needed to be a place that everyone could coexist peacefully. And, speaking of stupid names, people always say to, people always wonder why the heck I'm called Pratt, considering the fact that all these years later it's become this, shorthand for being an idiot. But all Uriel Hemlock, he became the king of Trottleara, but that was never meant to be the case. It was his dad that he fought alongside, and unfortunately, fighting for what he believed in wasn't as lucky as Uriel. Old Pratt, the first Pratt Hemlock in Trottleara. And then, all these years later, I think because my mother was such a, a historian and believed in all this stuff, I think she thought that not after my granduncle, I should be Pratt Hemlock because, we gotta keep that going for what people believed in, that no matter what, no matter how many new people come in here and
you know, whatever they want to do in Trottleara, whenever they want to be heroes and save the day, or wherever they want to, you know, line their pockets or whatever, there's still got to be Trottleara, and there's still got to be a Hemlock here, no matter what. So, I think that I don't think I'm going anywhere, Duncan. I'm sticking around, alright? You know, the spiders, we're gonna sort something out. No more blood is gonna be spilled in Trottleara, okay? We're gonna figure this whole thing out. And whether that takes a year or the rest of my life, it doesn't matter, okay? We're gonna make sure that what Pratt Hemlock, the first Pratt Hemlock believed in, what the people of Trottleara believed in all those years ago, that's still gonna happen, alright?
Duncan nods. Sounds like you found your answers. You just had to start at the beginning. It's a much more of a further back beginning than I thought, but no, I think you got it right.
You know, it's up and down.
A place where we could trottle around.
A place where we could trottle around, clopping his hooves. Even the ones that, well, don't make a trottle sound when they move.
Besides, look around this place. People from all walks of life, all races, all sorts, all drinking together and making merry. What he fought for, what Uriel got lucky to inherit, it's still there. The people still want it.
Yeah.
Your job's to hold down the fort. Just make it better.
I just gotta be the person who sticks around and, much like Trottleara Castle, the big old milestone that you can see at all points of the kingdom, I just gotta be here for people, no matter what. He leans over then and he gives you a big old cuddle then, Duncan, because he doesn't really know what else to do. He's a bit...
Duncan, you know, returns the hug, pats him on the back. You got a good few long years ahead of you, and they won't all just be busy work. You can calm down, you can have a drink, hopefully in a better mood next time, hopefully with a few more things worked out, and yeah, bring your Susie with you, and just know that it's going to be hard work, it's going to be a few trials and tribulations, but they're going to be rewarding.
He does
know all the people around right now, happy, cheerful, laughing, drinking. You're a part of that. Part of you gave him this.
He does look over his shoulder and he goes, yeah, you're right. And God, I hope whoever comes after me, they can do the same for, well, forever and ever, I suppose. As he looks back and he goes, and I do have to say, Duncan, you know I've said it enough, but I do have to thank you for finding my parents and all this, because I can't help but think that at the beginning of, well, maybe not all the way at the beginning, but, you know, things a year ago, I wouldn't be in this situation if they hadn't disappeared, so, hey, I guess in some point you helped bring a nice end to that chapter of this whole thing.
Oh, I just stumbled into it. I do appreciate your thanks, though. Well,
and he kind of looks around. Well, if you ever need anything from it outside of your job and poking at those two bags of money with dollar signs on it and his loose coins that also have cartoon dollar signs on it, just let me know, alright?
Will do, but I think I'm satisfied. Can't exactly ask you to make sure I get behind the bar more. I need to do my job, you need to do yours. We've all got our roles to play.
We sure do. As he kind of gets onto his feet and he's like wiggling out his big legs to see if he is kind of sober enough to walk out of the bar as...
the clarity hopefully did its job.
Hopefully so, as he kind of looks over his shoulder and he just does a nice little wave of be seeing ya, boss.
Be seeing ya.
As Duncan, as he leaves the bar, a fist fight has broken out between two half-elves.
Oh, for the love of... Oi! And Duncan does a big whistle. Calm it down!